Alrighty, good evening to those in. Oh, wait, hold on. Does this even work? Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Good evening to those in the Dominican Republic, Haiti, the Turks and Caicos Islands, the southeastern and central Bahamas, as well as southeastern Cuba, Jamaica, and as well as Bermuda. I am currently going to be sharing the stream, so if you guys have any questions, you can let me know in the chat and I will gladly answer them later in the stream. We are mainly going to be discussing, of course, Hurricane Melissa on this update, but maybe a little bit of Mantha if we can get to that. But right now, I am going to be sharing this stream since it should be live. Man, okay, I'm just seeing some of the damages that Melissa has already caused in Jamaica. Now it's also going to cause additional damage in portions of Cuba as well as the Bahamas. We will discuss that all in a moment. I am just sharing sharing the stream right now. Then we will get right into it. Let's see. Is the mic working, guys? Can you confirm that for me, please? In theory, it should be working. Let me just remove this from the top here. There we go. Okay, hello Space and hello STN, and let's get right into it. So, this is the latest forecast now that I've issued for the system. It is currently a Category 4, likely low-end Category 4 or high-end Category 3 right now. It doesn't really make much of a difference. It is pulling away from Jamaica, and it is expected to make landfall overnight in Cuba, somewhere around Santiago de Cuba province there, before exiting in around Holguin, northeastern Holguin province as a Category 2 or Category 3 strength system. This would be on tomorrow morning. Then tomorrow evening into tomorrow night, it will be moving through the Bahamas, potentially as a Category 2 or even 3 strength system, delivering potentially major impacts. We'll get to that in a bit. It is then forecasted to become a major hurricane once again. This would be on Thursday morning, before weakening on Thursday night as a Category 2, blowing by Bermuda as a Category 2 strength system. And then I believe it weakens down to a Category 1 on, that would be Friday morning, and then Friday night's becoming a post-tropical cyclone, Saturday night still going, and then by Sunday it should be dissipated, or it should have dissipated. So let's talk about impacts now. What are the impacts, additional impacts that the system is going to bring across the Caribbean and southeastern Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Islands? Well, there are marginal impacts expected for the entirety of Hispaniola, as well as the Turks and Caicos Islands, Bermuda, and as well as majority of the southeastern and central Bahamas, southeastern Cuba, and Jamaica, all expected to see additional marginal impacts. Now, going up a category, now looking at the slight impacts, that does include portions of southwestern Dominican Republic, the entirety of Jamaica, as well as Bermuda, and some of the southeastern, majority of the southeastern and central Bahamas there highlighted there, as well as southeastern Cuba, all in that slight category of additional impacts. Now let's bump it up a category now to looking at moderate impacts that the system is expected to bring. Well, looking at portions of Jamaica, that is going to include portions of Trelawney, St. James, okay, so St. James, Trelawney, Manchester, and St. Anne, and parts of Clarendon, all in that's moderate impacts, of additional impacts, mainly for rainfall. They could be seeing additional amounts of 8 to 12 inches of rain. We'll get to that in a bit. But it does also include portions of Guantanamo in Cuba there, as well as Holguin and Las Tunas and Granma and Santiago de Cuba, all in at least marginal or moderate impacts. And it does include some of the Bahamian islands of Crooked Island, Acklands Island, and portions of Long Island, all in that's moderate category. Now let's bump it up to the possibility of major impacts. Whoops, let me change the color of this to something that you all can see much better. Okay, there we go. So in terms of major impacts, the possibility of seeing major impacts, that does include a corridor in parts of Holguin right there, because it could be rolling through as a major hurricane, delivering those major hurricane force winds. And there is also the possibility of major impacts in portions of southeastern Long Island, San Salvador, as well as northwestern Ackland and mainly Crooked Island, it looks like, in the possibility of major impacts, because it could be rolling through as a Category 3. It's a little bit uncertain as to what it's going to be looking like after it leaves Cuba. Now, the areas that are expected to see major impacts, that does include a corridor along parts of eastern Granma province, as well as the entirety of Santiago de Cuba, really, and parts of western Guantanamo, all expected to see additional major impacts, not only from the rain, but also from the wind. Some areas along the coast could be getting hit by a major hurricane, most likely overnight tonight. So those are the impacts. No longer expected to see additional catastrophic impacts, but these areas have already seen impacts of at least marginal category in parts of southern Cuba. Now let's discuss the world of tropics right now, since we didn't discuss that last time. There is, of course, Hurricane Melissa Category 4 strength system, weakening somewhat, but it is expected to re-intensify potentially some before making landfall in Cuba. That will eventually speed off towards the northeast. Nothing else is expected in the Atlantic. We have Tropical Storm Sonia in the eastern Pacific, expected to meander to the west and dissipate. Now, in the western Pacific, we have a fair amount going on. We have a disturbance in the eastern portions, could see some development by the Northern Mariana Islands. We have one currently located by the Northern Mariana Islands with a 40% chance of development. That is expected to meander westwards and potentially impact the Philippines within a week. And there's also another disturbance here near Vietnam that's going to be crossing Vietnam and could see some development in the eastern and northeastern Bay of Bengal. Now has a 40% chance of tropical development. Looking in the Bay of Bengal, we have Tropical Storm Mantha, which is moving into southeastern India, expected to dissipate, though, over the next few days. And looking west, we also have the remnants of 92A, which have a 40% chance of redevelopment as it nears India and Pakistan. Looking in the southwest Indian Ocean, we have the remnants of 95S, which are expected to continue moving west and dissipate. Oops, I forgot to change this to October 29th. But we are currently code purple in effect for Hurricane Melissa, of course. That code may be downgraded over the next day or so. It all depends on how much of a concern it is still tomorrow. But again, we are currently code purple for that system, and we are code orange for Tropical Storm Mantha. That code will also likely be downgraded over the coming days. Alright, now looking at the system on satellite imagery, it has lost its well-defined eye feature, at least on visible imagery here. You can kind of see the remnants of the eye now starting to grow in size. We can see some great outflow now towards the northeast as it's starting to have a jet interaction. If we zoom out a little bit on it, you can see all that healthy outflow to the north there, some spikes reaching all the way up to Florida there. But yeah, great outflow from this system. It is in a great environment, so it could definitely re-intensify some. Looking at the latest infrared imagery, we can see some vertical heat towers firing around the system. Okay, this is a little bit of a long loop, but yeah, you can see it trying to get a little bit more organized in its structure. It struggled a bit, thankfully, after it hit Jamaica, so it has taken a little bit of a beating. So it's down to a Category 3 or 4 strength system right now. But it could re-intensify some before it makes landfall in Cuba, unfortunately. The environment is still pretty favorable for more intensification, and again, we could be seeing a Category 4 landfall in eastern or southeastern Cuba. In terms of the water temperatures, they are quite warm here, around 29 to 31 degrees Celsius in some pockets before it makes landfall in Cuba. After that, the temperatures will be gradually cooling down as it speeds off towards the northeast. Oceanic heat content becoming less of a concern as its forward motion begins to speed up, but it is again quite high over in between the Strait of Cuba and Jamaica. Looking at the other environmental factors, shear is expected to increase somewhat over the next day or so before skyrocketing as it speeds off towards the northeast. Sea surface temperatures are expected to take a hit over the next few days as it speeds off into the southwestern and northwestern Atlantic. In terms of dry air, it is expected to get a little bit more moist before tanking some in terms of a lot more dry air impacting the system. So the environment is expected to become less favorable over the next 4 days or so. Now, distances. How far away is this system from certain areas? I am curious where the Hurricane Center is putting it. It may be a little bit more east right now of where it was forecasted to be, so that we could see the landfall locations shift more to the east. Yes. Currently, they're going high-end Category 3. Could be a little weaker, could be a little bit stronger than that, but they are forecasting it to intensify to a Category 4 before making landfall in Cuba. Now, what are the distances from certain areas? Well, distances from northern Jamaica, this would be around St. Anne Parish, around 25 miles away from there. So it is starting to inch away from Jamaica. The worst impacts in Jamaica have already occurred. Now things are going to be gradually calming down. Looking at portions of Cuba where it is expected to make landfall, and Santiago de Cuba looks to be around 90 miles away. From Metro Santiago de Cuba, roughly 122 miles away. From Granma province, around 75 miles away. Guantanamo looks to be around 135 miles away from there, and Holguin looks to be around 140 miles away. Talking about the Bahamas right now, Anagua looks to be around, let's see, it's this island right here, looks to be around 275 miles away. From Mayaguana looks to be around 360 miles away. From Acklins, it looks to be around 300 miles away. And Crooked Island looks to be around 325 miles away. And then looking at Long Island, it's 320 miles away from there. And this would be, let me just double check. Okay, this would be, Rum Cay down here looks to be around 365 miles away, and San Salvador is around 400 miles away. Now looking at Bermuda, they are 1,200 miles away, and Atlantic Canada, mainly Newfoundland, looks to be 2.3 thousand miles away from the system. Right, those are distances. Now let's look at the latest model runs. Mainly the European AI model one is the one that I want to see. It does have it speeding off towards the northeast. It does have it making landfall around the border between Santiago de Cuba and Granma provinces of Cuba there, before speeding off just to the west of Bermuda, becoming a post-tropical cyclone, and nearly eclipse Newfoundland on this model run before speeding off towards the northeast and dissipating near Iceland. Now let's take a look at some of the higher resolution hurricane models and what they are showing and what they are thinking. Let's start off with the HAFS A model run here. It does have it as quite a stronger system than it is right now, and it does show it actually re-intensifying some before making landfall in Cuba as a high-end Category 4. Before then it weakens to a Category 2 or 3 as it passes through the Bahamas. Does not make a direct landfall anywhere, but it does then speed off towards the northeast and impacts Bermuda with potentially hurricane force winds, before then finally speeding off towards the northeast out to sea. Does not clip Newfoundland really much at all on this model run. Let's look at the latest HAFS B model run and what this one wants. Let's see. Again, it does have it a little bit stronger than it is right now, and it does show a slight intensification, re-intensification, before making landfall in Santiago de Cuba. This would be tomorrow morning, before speeding off towards the northeast, through the Bahamas, and then off towards Bermuda, potentially as a major hurricane or Category 2. Some of those outer rain bands do impact parts of Newfoundland on this model run. Looking at the latest HWRF model run and what this one wants. So it does have it as a much stronger system than it is right now, so it's not doing a great job handling it, but it does have it re-intensifying some before making landfall in Cuba. Again, the environment is pretty favorable for re-intensification of this system. It's just time is really the only thing that's up against the system. It does speed off towards the northeast and then out to sea after impacting Bermuda. The latest HMON model run of this system, see here, does have it weakening up until landfall, so this is a different scenario, has it weakening all the way up until landfall in Cuba, which would be the best case scenario in my opinion. It does then roll through around Long Island as a Category 2 strength system, nears Rum Cay as well as San Salvador, before then moving out to sea. Those are the most recent model runs on this system. And let's see here, let's take a look now at the, what was I going to show here? Where the system's located right now, again, compared to the parishes, you can see that vertical heat tower bursting right near, this would be Trelawney and St. Anne parishes in Jamaica there. Very powerful burst. Trying to re-intensify. We'll see how much can it re-intensify before it makes landfall in Cuba. Let's look at the latest radar images. Let's see, we may not have much here. Try to see if we can refresh and get more radar data on the system. Nope, looks like the radars are starting to go down in portions of Cuba, not really seeing a whole lot on here. But if we look at the latest satellite imagery, we can see some outer bands now impacting Santiago de Cuba, some potentially supercells, could be some tornadoes embedded in there. But again, very strong gusty winds and some of these powerful thunderstorms, and heavy rainfall rates are also likely there as well. In terms of additional rainfall amounts, we'll discuss that on the National Hurricane Center website and what they're showing. See here, so they are expecting it to go through. This is the latest National Hurricane Center forecast. They're having it going on for over 5 days at this point. I believe it will likely dissipate by around day 4 to 5. Just before day 5, it should be merging with the big frontal complex. But before that, it is going to be impacting, of course, Cuba and the Bahamas, and we can discuss the key messages now. For For Jamaica, remain in a safe shelter tonight. Damaging winds will continue over portions of Jamaica this evening. Catastrophic flash floodings, landslides are expected across the island tonight with widespread infrastructural damage, power and communication outages, and isolated communities. For Haiti and the Dominican Republic, catastrophic flash flooding and landslides are expected across southwestern Haiti and southern portions of the Dominican Republic during the next day or so. In Haiti, extensive damage and isolation of communities is likely. Tropical storm conditions expected later today and Wednesday. For eastern Cuba, heavy rainfall, life-threatening and flash flooding, and landslides are expected soon. Storm surge and damaging winds are likely to begin later today. Seek safe shelter if you have not already. Likely tropical storm force winds are already reaching the coast. Southeastern and central Bahamas, as well as the Turks and Caicos Islands, hurricane conditions, life-threatening storm surge, and heavy rainfall are expected across portions of the southeastern and central Bahamas on Wednesday. Complete preparations by tonight and follow local official guidance. Tropical storm conditions, heavy rains, and significant storm surge are expected in the Turks and Caicos Islands on Wednesday. For Bermuda, hurricane conditions and heavy rainfall are possible in Bermuda beginning Thursday or Thursday night, where a hurricane watch is now in effect for you there. Now let's go over the rainfall forecast, and first let's discuss the public advisory here in terms of the kind of impacts, the hazards affecting land. So the damaging winds are expected to gradually subside across Jamaica, but it is advised to remain in a safe shelter until sunrise. That's what I've been mentioning to you guys over the past few days. If you have not already heard, I know that power's going out for some of you there. That's why I try and get the information out earlier, just letting you guys know when would it be most likely safe to finally go out. Hurricane conditions are expected in the warning area in Cuba later tonight through Wednesday morning. Tropical storm conditions are expected in Haiti tonight and Wednesday. Hurricane conditions are expected in the southeastern and central Bahamas on Wednesday. Tropical storm conditions are expected and hurricane conditions are possible in the Turks and Caicos Islands on Wednesday. Hurricane conditions are possible on Bermuda Thursday and Thursday nights. Now, rainfall. Melissa is expected to bring an additional 6 to 12 inches of rain across Jamaica, where storm total amounts will be between 12 to 24 inches. Isolated areas near 30 inches will be possible over the more mountainous terrain. Ongoing catastrophic flash flooding and numerous landslides will continue through Tuesday night. For eastern Cuba, storm total rainfall of 10 to 20 inches is expected through Wednesday, with local amounts of up to 25 inches expected over the more mountainous terrain. This will cause life-threatening and potentially catastrophic flash flooding with numerous landslides. For the southeastern Bahamas, storm total rainfall of 5 to 10 inches is expected through Wednesday, which will result in areas of flash flooding. For the Turks and Caicos Islands, rainfall totals of 1 to 3 inches are expected. Heavy rain may begin to affect Bermuda Thursday night. Over southern Hispaniola, additional rainfall of 2 to 6 inches is expected through Wednesday, with storm total local maximum of up to 40 inches of rain being possible. Now, storm surge on the northwest coast of Jamaica near Montego Bay. There is a possibility of 2 to 4 feet of storm surge above ground level. Storm surge flooding on the southern coast of Jamaica should subside later tonight. There is a potential for significant storm surge along the southeastern coast of Cuba through early Wednesday. Peak storm surge heights could reach 8 to 12 feet above normal tide levels, near and to the east of where the center of Melissa makes landfall. This storm surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. Minor coastal flooding is possible in bays and inlets along the north coast of eastern Cuba. Storm surge of 5 to 8 feet above normally dry ground is possible in the southeastern Bahamas on Wednesday, and 2 to 4 feet above normally dry ground in the Turks and Caicos Islands on Wednesday. Minor coastal flooding is expected along the coast of Haiti. Now, swells generated by Melissa are expected to affect portions of Hispaniola, Jamaica, and eastern Cuba and the Cayman Islands during the next day or so, causing life-threatening surf and rip current conditions. These swells will reach the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands overnight and Bermuda later this week. Please consult products from your local weather office. Now, let's break down more of the rainfall totals across the Caribbean and now parts of the southwestern Atlantic. So rainfall totals a broad area of at least an inch or at least 25 millimeters. Let's break it down country by country. Starting off with the Dominican Republic, the entirety is expected to see at least an additional 25 millimeters, with the southwestern portions expected to see 50 to 100 millimeters, and some areas could see 100 to 200 millimeters in here, the local maximum being around 200 millimeters of additional rainfall. Looking at portions of Haiti, the northern portions are only expected to see an additional 25 to 50 millimeters, with the rest of the country expected to see 50 to 100 millimeters of rain there. Now let's go over to Jamaica now in terms of the impacts, additional impacts in Jamaica. Southeastern St. Thomas only looks to get around another 1 to 2 inches of rain. Now the area that expected to see 2 to 4 inches, that does include eastern Portland Parish, southern St. Andrew, the entirety of Kingston, southern St. Catherine, southern Clarendon, southern Manchester, southern St. Elizabeth, western Westmoreland, and West Hanover. Again, 2 to 4 inches are expected in that darker green color. Now looking at the area, 4 to 6 inches of rain, that does include western Portland, northwestern St. Andrew, the entirety of St. Mary, eastern St. Anne, northern St. Catherine, central Clarendon, around southern Manchester, southwestern St. Elizabeth, as well as eastern Westmoreland and eastern Hanover, all expected to see 4 to 6 inches of rain in that yellow color. Now looking at that yellowish orangish color, which is expected to see 6 to 8 inches of additional rainfall, that does include portions of central St. Anne, northwestern Clarendon, central Manchester, northeastern St. Elizabeth, and the entirety of St. James, expected to see again at 6 to 8 inches of rain in that yellowish orangish color. Now, going up to the highest rainfall totals of additional amounts, that does include the entirety of Trelawney, western St. Anne, northwestern Clarendon, northern Manchester, and northeastern St. Elizabeth. All expected to see an additional 8 to 12 inches of rain there. Additional moderate impacts are expected for you there. Now, let's discuss the impacts in Cuba. Cuba, you are expected to see an additional, let me just double check here. Okay. In terms of rainfall here, in that yellow color, which does include, this would be 100 to 150 millimeters of additional rainfall, which does include portions of eastern Camagüey, with a majority of Las Tunas also in that. Then the entirety of, let me see here, and portions of eastern Guantanamo, in that's, again, 100 to 150 millimeter range. There is also an area here of over 150 millimeters of rain, which does again include, this would be eastern Las Tunas, as well as a majority of Granma Parish there looks like, and a majority of Guantanamo as well. In terms of over 200 millimeters of rain, that does include again the entirety of Holguin, eastern Granma, the entirety of Santiago de Cuba, and western Guantanamo. And there is this corridor here of around 300 to 400 millimeters of rain, with isolated totals above 400 millimeters. That is a corridor of eastern Granma, the majority of Santiago de Cuba, northwestern Guantanamo, and southern Holguin parishes or provinces in Cuba. Now, in terms of the Bahamas here, looks like this would be Ackland's Island, is expected to see an additional 4 to 6 inches of rain, or 100 to 150 millimeters of rain, with Crooked Island getting around 150 to 200 millimeters of rain. Eastern Long Island is expected to see 200 to 300 millimeters of additional rainfall, and that does also apply to San Salvador. All right. So that is the rainfall forecast. Now let's look at the probabilities of where it could be making landfall. Which provinces is it expected to make landfall in Cuba? 100% chance that it does make landfall in Cuba now, and it looks like, okay, 100% chance it makes landfall in Santiago de Cuba. If this makes landfall as is a system stronger than 115 miles an hour, so winds of 120 miles an hour or more, that would be record-breaking for this province in Cuba. They've not seen a Category 3 since Sandy in 2012, and Inez since, I believe, 1967, I believe it was the year of that hurricane. So those are the only 2 Category 3s that's ever made landfall in Santiago de Cuba. And this is expected to make landfall much stronger than that. So this could be a history maker for this province in Cuba, unfortunately. Beyond that, now we can start looking at more of the probabilities of if it's going to make landfall in the Bahamas. Looking at Crooked Island, looks like there's around a, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly an 8% chance it makes landfall in that island. And looking more to the west here in terms of Long Island, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, around a 30% chance that it makes landfall there. So in total, it's around a 30% there. Let me go up here, and again around an 8% here, so a 38% chance it does make landfall somewhere in the Bahamas. If it does, again, there's the possibility you could be seeing major impacts, as this could be rolling through as a major hurricane. Just gotta hope it threads the needle in between both Long Island and Crooked Island. Looking at some of these other islands, though, mainly looking at Rum Cay, there's around a 4% chance it makes landfall for you there, and around a 4% chance it makes landfall in San Salvador. Looking at Bermuda, what are the probabilities it makes landfall, a direct hit on Bermuda? Currently, none of the ensemble members are showing it making landfall in Bermuda. That's really great news for you there. It is expected to be to your west. Again, though, it's going to be such a large system that even regardless of its moving towards your west, you are expected to see conditions from the system. You are under a hurricane watch at this time, so hurricane conditions are possible. You can see here there's purple coloring is hurricane conditions, and you are just outside of the border here, and this is just from the HAFS A model run. This would be on Friday morning, overnight Thursday into Friday morning, at least on this model run, likely bringing hurricane conditions to your area. Even though you're well to the west, even though the storm's well to your west, you could be seeing hurricane force winds with the system. All right, now let's get into some of the questions now with this system. Let's go ahead and answer some of them. Will Melissa make a secondary landfall? Yes. The system is expected to make a secondary landfall in Cuba here. Again, it's going to be making potentially more landfalls than just Cuba. It could be, again, it is expected to make landfall somewhere in Cuba, but it could also make landfall in either Long Island in the Bahamas, or it could be making landfall in Crooked Island, or even Rum Cay and San Salvador there. Right now, it looks like it could thread the needle in between those, but again, the cone of uncertainty does include those islands, so it could be making a direct hit there. It could also be making a direct hit to Bermuda. It's a little bit far out, though, to be talking about that. Whoops, okay. When did Melissa make landfall? It did make landfall, man, I think it was around 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so Eastern Standard Time, that would be around noonish, I believe, for you in Jamaica. I do have the loop right on here when it made that landfall. Historic landfall of the system there. Man, okay, this was history being made right here. It's tied for the strongest landfall in Atlantic history. This is going to be a real pain to do reanalysis of, getting all the data and seeing how strong it really was when it made landfall. I will likely be getting all that analysis done by, let's see, this would be by November 8th. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I will be releasing an animation on this storm and its track and its intensity, all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. We are only 20 away from 4.6 thousand. See if we can reach that by the end of the stream. I'm currently unsure. But guys, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I do plan to do another live stream on the system as it slams into Cuba. Yes, Melissa will be making landfall in Santiago de Cuba. Let's see here. So, in terms of landfall timing, it is expected to make landfall, looks to be around, this would be around at 2:20 a.m. But I'm not quite sure if it's moving faster than forecasted or what it is doing right now. I may be staying up for this system. I may end the stream and then I may start it up again later on. So I may try to get some sleep and then try to wake up again. But for this stream, I'll probably do this stream for up to 2.5 hours, depending on how many people are watching and how many questions are rolling through in terms of areas. Let's see. Yes, and Bermuda and Turks and Caicos Islands need to be watching this system, agreed. Yes, they could also be getting hit by a very powerful system. Turks and Caicos Islands are under a tropical storm warning. I've currently highlighted you for marginal impacts from this system. But Bermuda is expected to see slight to moderate impacts from this. I would give that the possibility of moderate impacts this far out. We'll get a little bit of a better idea as we're getting closer and closer. But yes, it is approaching Bermuda. Let's see here. Let's see, when will Melissa become post-tropical? I do expect Melissa to become post-tropical by, I believe it's going to be by day 4. So when I'm expecting it to be post-tropical. It's not in the forecast cone here. Let's see, so this would be this would be finished showing day 1, day 2, day 3, and then, no, it would be by day 3, excuse me, by day 3. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another point right here, and then there's going to be another point right here. This is the one that's going to be post-tropical, somewhere up here. It's a little bit above that, but I mean, that's the one that would be post-tropical there. It's not shown on this forecast cone, though. So it is expected to be post-tropical within around 72 hours from now. See, do you think it peaked with winds of around 190 miles an hour, in your honest opinion? This is incredibly uncertain, and this is going to be taking hours of reanalysis to try and get this reanalyzed, okay? Because there's so many discrepancies onto how strong it could be. There's satellite estimates, which is one factor of it. Satellite estimates give you some analysis. There's also the fact that it was moving so slowly, which you need to take into account, because notice how satellite estimates were going a lot higher than recon for a certain point. That was likely due to the fact that it was moving much slower. Because most of our satellite estimates, they're all dealing with systems moving at 10 to 20 miles an hour, when Melissa was only moving at sometimes 3 miles an hour, maybe 2 miles an hour at some points at its peak. Sometimes it was even stationary when it was a Category 5. So that takes a lot of effort to reanalyze. And remember, trying to figure out the peak, it also matters trying to reanalyze the rest of the storm to figure out its intensification rates, things like that. Another discrepancy is going to be recon data in terms of their flight level winds. Are we using the normal conversions, or are we using the more experimental conversions, depending on how close to the center the winds were measured, the radius of maximum winds? Because if those winds were closer to the center, those winds were likely a lot closer down to the surface as higher amounts. Whereas if they're farther away, it's a little bit it'd be lower amounts. It's trying to convert flight level winds down to surface winds. And another discrepancy here is going to be dropson data. Dropsons there's multiple factors in that. One is going to be trying to convert the dropsons from the surface there, seeing what they're getting at the surface in terms of those maximum winds around the, I believe it's 150 to 500 meter averages. That's another a way you can be measuring winds, as well as going to be those upper level winds as well, trying to convert ratios to see kind of how strong it was at the surface. Some of those winds showed even 252 miles an hour up in the air. So really just going to be trying to figure out how that converts down to the surface. Another factor is going to be terminal Doppler radar, in terms of what radar was showing the intensity was in some of these instances from the plane as it was flying through. That's going to be something that we'll need to be using to reanalyze the system, as well as dropson data in terms of, pressure, minimum central pressure, trying to estimate that, and also trying to determine how much did it weaken before making landfall, maybe in Jamaica? Did it weaken at all? What was going on with its structure? We are also going to need data from the chasers in southwestern Jamaica, stuff like Josh Morgerman, ice cyclone there, and some of those other chasers, and what pressure they got, and surface observations throughout Jamaica. Also, analysis here after it plowed through Jamaica. Flight level winds are really only supportive of a Category 2 strength system right now, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't think it would weaken that significantly. The structure still looks solid on it. It still has an eye wall according to radar as well. So solid eye wall. So man, yeah, this is going to be difficult to reanalyze, especially right now, as flight level winds aren't really supporting that much. Terminal Doppler winds are supporting higher than that, though. And also trying to determine what pressure we're going to be using. Is it extrapolated? Are we going to be more so focused on the dropson data? All that kind of stuff. Trying to figure out the system. Also, there's been some evidence of some of the flight level winds, how those, or how the dropsons have been tossed around away from the northeastern side, meaning that mostly some of those winds were sampled away from the strongest quadrants. So a lot of things need to be taken into consideration with estimating a storm of this caliber. We have so much data to look through that this is going to be taking hours to reanalyze. So really, again, with the question of how strong do I think it is, I do not know. I will be most likely releasing my animation on it on November 8th, November 9th. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I will be releasing my animation on it. We are 18 subscribers away from 4.6 thousand. Really helps out a lot, and you guys will be able to see the track the system took. This is probably the worst storm of the year across the globe right now. When is it going to be reaching Europe? I am not sure. I'm not sure if it will be making pass towards Europe here. This forecast is going to be around Saturday morning, nearing Newfoundland. There, this would be Saturday nights, Sunday morning, Sunday nights, Monday morning, Monday night. Could be approaching Europe at around Sunday or Monday, or even Tuesday. It's very hard to pinpoint where it's going to be. By the time it nears, by the time it nears Europe, and if it's even going to be a low pressure area by the time it nears there, it could be absorbed by a large frontal complex. So again, it's kind of hard determining if it's going to be by Europe by then. Let's see. Oh, again, the question about how many miles an hour was it when it made landfall in Jamaica? Winds were officially 185 miles an hour, but it could be a little bit weaker than that. Again, it all determins on here. I'll show up a little bit more frames here because the system did look like it was starting to deteriorate by before it made landfall, and that's due to land interaction. So it might have peaked before making landfall. Is the thing with this kind of system. It was already starting to degrade by the time it made landfall, so its landfall intensity is likely lower than its. Let's see, landfall was right around here-ish. A landfall intensity was likely lower than its peak. So I don't know by how much. Maybe only have been 5 to 10 knots or 5 to 10 miles an hour. It's quite uncertain trying to say its intensity at landfall. Again, it's going to be taking a lot of reanalysis to try and get a more accurate number on that. Yes, it's currently tied with Regassa in terms of the strongest winds of the year right now, I believe. I believe you're correct on that. See, when you calculate wind speed, do you add the original wind speed with the forward movement of the storm, especially the eastern quadrants? No, the speed of the storm already factors in the forward speed, and that's why we get already some of these weaker quadrants of the system. Like I can show you guys an example in this model run here. This one kind of showing this already factors in the movement speed. This shows winds of 85 knots here, and that's going to be 85 knots right in here. 100-mile-an-hour winds somewhere right in here. So that's 100-mile-an-hour winds here, and that kind of already factors in the forward motion of the storm. Let's say it's moving off at around, let's see, this area over here shows winds maybe only up to around 50 knots, so 45 knots, around 50 miles an hour right here. So let's say this is 50 miles an hour, and then this is 100 miles an hour right here. That already factors in the fact that there's a 25-mile-an-hour motion to the storm. So pretty much it adds 25 to this side, subtracts 25 to this side. So you already get a 100-mile-an-hour category 2 in this instance here. That's how you'd measure the winds. So you don't add on the forward motion, because pretty much the forward motion is already being observed in those winds. You can clearly see it on here. The right part of the storm is much stronger than the left part of the storm in terms of where it's moving. As Melissa is the fourth category or fourth major hurricane of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, because Aaron was first, Gabrielle was second, and Umberto was the third. We now have a fourth major hurricane here. All four of them becoming a category 4 or stronger. Let's see what else here. I haven't seen much footage of it actually making landfall in strong buildings in Jamaica. When do you think landfall footage will be released, or when do you think it will be released? Tomorrow? I don't think it's going to be. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot more data for portions of Jamaica there in terms of if we're going to see more footage yet. A lot of communications are likely knocked down in portions of western Jamaica, so it's kind of hard for them to, and it's hard to verify what footage is actually happening there and what's from a previous event, because there's also even AI footage being released on the storm, so it's hard to try and pinpoint what's actually real and what's not. But we will be getting more footage over the coming days from Jamaica as that's starting to be spread out more. So yeah, I've been seeing people, Elizabeth, like you said there, for you, it peaked out 180 to 190 to maybe even 200-mile-an-hour winds. That is possible with this system. Again, there's going to be a lot to reanalyze with this system. There's so many factors to take into consideration when determining the peak intensity of it, how strong it was throughout its Category 5, or how long it was a Category 5 for. All those things matter. So I'm curious, how long was this system officially a Category 5? Became one on, let's see, this would be the 27th at 5 a.m. Still was one the next day at 5 a.m. And so over 24 hours, plus an additional, looks to be around almost 36 hours, just under 36 hours, it was a Category 5. So an impressive storm, and it's still a major hurricane. It has been a major hurricane since the 25th at night. Oh man, the latest National Hurricane Center forecast, I didn't notice this. They are forecasting it to still be a major hurricane by the time it's reaching the Bahamas. Nearly shows it making landfall in Long Island there, still as a major hurricane. Any wobbles to the west, and that would be a landfall right there. See, they are forecasting landfall at around 4 to 5 p.m. Looks to be 4:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in parts of Long Island there. If it were to make landfall, that's around the time. And this would be tomorrow, I believe. Yes, tomorrow. See, is it gone from Jamaica? Not quite yet. Jamaica is still seeing impacts from this system, and we can go over some of those impacts. Whoops, on here. So, majority of let's see, majority of Jamaica is still experiencing at least damaging winds from this system. So that's why the entirety is highlighted for the for slight impacts, with portions of North. Let's see. Trelawney, the entirety of Trelawney, western St. Anne, northwestern Clarendon, northern Manchester, and northeastern St. Elizabeth parishes are expected to see additional moderate impacts from this system. So it's not over for you yet in Jamaica. You've gotten the catastrophic level now knocked down to major, then you guys got it knocked down to a slight to moderate. So yes, again though, there still is expected to be additional slight to moderate impacts, and it probably let's see, where's the system located right now? Could include portions of northern St. Anne, northern St. Mary as well in that moderate category, because they could be getting hurricane force winds still right now. So it is not done yet for Jamaica, unfortunately. You guys should start to see conditions improve, though, overnight. Conditions have peaked for you all, and they are going to be gradually getting better and better. But again, you still have to go through moderate, slight to moderate impacts with the system. Man, look at how much larger the eye is now. Really starting to clear out as well. This is really becoming a little bit scary for portions of Cuba there, as the system is going to be trying to reorganize some before it makes landfall there. Again, likely to be the strongest system in recorded history to make landfall in Santiago de Cuba. So it's not just the strongest storm ever in Jamaican history, it's also going to be the strongest landfall in Santiago de Cuba. Ooh, okay. Is there still an eye in the middle of the hurricane? Yes, there's still an eye feature here. You can see it on infrared imagery, not as much on visible imagery, but you can see it cleared, or like it fogged over pretty much. It kind of got covered, and now it's starting to form that eye again. The eye is noted on radar there. It still has one on radar. It's just now it's trying to clear it out vertically, and you can see that on here. See, I'm curious what recon data is currently being found on the system. Another recon flight is inspecting the storm. Looks like one of the missions have already finished. Looks like it is weakening some. It went from 952 to 953 millibars, but another plane is going to be en route to the system and gathering more data on it. See, hi, people in Negril. Massively need some information, please. Looking at Negril, there's not much information as to what has happened there, but you are expected to see additional. Let's see. If I go to Negril, though, I can show you guys where the satellite was compared to Negril. If I go back here, this is where the storm was compared to Negril there. So they were almost in the western eyewall of the system. Likely got hurricane force winds from the system. Is there even any surface observations that I can pull up? Not really, unfortunately. Again, there's not a lot of ground information there, unfortunately. They did likely see major impacts from this system. In terms of additional impacts that you are going to be seeing in Negril, you are expected to see additional slight impacts from the system of around let's see, rainfall totals of around 2 to 4 inches of additional rain is expected for you there, with you are likely already getting damaging winds right now, so things like trees down and that kind of stuff, but it's improving. It's going to be gradually improving for you, Negril. In terms of model forecasts as to what's happening right now in terms of Negril, looks to be around gale force gust happening. Things are going to be calming down and should be much calmer by tomorrow at sunrise, so I would not be leaving your shelter until at least tomorrow at sunrise. See here, this Climate Prediction Center posted a 20% area near Central America. Do you think that's going to materialize into anything? They did? Man, this is the first time I'm hearing that. Okay, I'll pull that up here. Climate Prediction Center. Let's see, where is it here? Where's the... Here it is. Oh, dang. Whoa, there's two more. Okay. Man, so it's not over yet for... Unfortunately, it's not over yet for Central America. You guys could be seeing things. And let's pull it up on the WeatherWise app. See if this works here. WeatherWise app, and let's pull up... See if it works on here, if I can get it to work. And we'll take a little bit more of a in-depth look at it. So in terms of anything on here, anything showing up, any signals popping out to me, not really. I'm not seeing anything just yet. We can kind of discuss why the Climate Prediction Center did that. Let's see if we can pull up why they've highlighted that area as a 20 to 30% chance. So this does include portions of Central America highlighted there. Even just south of Jamaica could be seeing another tropical cyclone. In terms of... Let's see here, trying to see if I can find anything in the Atlantic. For the Atlantic Basin, any tropical cyclone development during November typically occurs in the Caribbean Sea. Following Melissa, this region should be quiet through the start of November. However, with an increased chance of Kelvin waves emerging from the MJO overspreading the Pacific in both the GEFS and ESENS, favoring above-average rainfall, at least a 20% chance of tropical cyclone development is forecasted for weeks 2 and 3, valid from November 5th through 18th. Timing is highly uncertain, but the GEFS is keying on week 2, with nearly a quarter of its ensemble members depicting a tropical cyclone during that time period. Ooh, let's look at those ensemble members here. See, is this the GEFS? Yes, it is. Okay, let's pull up the most recent ones. They did the 0Z ones on the 28th. Let's look at that. Oh yeah, around a quarter of them are showing another tropical cyclone forming near Jamaica, just south of Jamaica there, near Central America there. It's a little bit uncertain this far out, but it looks like we could be seeing another tropical cyclone try to develop. It's a little bit far out though. No, actually it's approaching the closer range. Let's see if any of these more recent runs showed anything. There, yeah, some of them showing a little bit of some life there in the northwestern Caribbean. It's really uncertain though as to what would happen. I mean, it is starting to show stuff, though. That is going to be a tropical wave, if I can try and track it back. Looks like it's going to be the tropical wave. See, which tropical wave is that? That is going to be the one by... Looks to be around 40 degrees north. There may be a tropical wave there. Let's see if we can spot it. It would be around... Is this it? Yeah, it looks to be around this tropical wave right here. I believe that's going to be a tropical wave marked by the... TAF B. We can just double check to see if that may be a concern for portions of the Caribbean. Where is it? It's going to be right here, and it's going to be right here. Let's see if we can see it. Yes, it is a tropical wave right around here. That's around, right around here-ish. Another tropical wave here, unfortunately. This is going to be continuing off towards the west, and this may be the one that eventually tries to develop into something in the Caribbean. So, looks like they're watching that system. National Hurricane Center hasn't marked anything just yet. So thank you for mentioning that. I had no idea. I saw people mentioning the Climate Prediction Center, but I did not know that they marked something. Ooh, Rhonda, thank you so much for watching the hypothetical hurricane pixel animation. Nice. Okay. Let's see. What do you think the death toll could be? Unfortunately, there's not much. There's not much to go off of right now. It could be in the tens. People could have been taking this seriously, or could be in the hundreds to thousands. It's really uncertain. Given the fact that we have been getting some communication with portions of southwestern Jamaica, I would say it's in the lower end of that. So I'd hope it's only in the tens. I'd hope it's in the lower category. Unfortunately, though, there is the possibility it could be much higher, because a lot of these areas are quite susceptible. We can look at where it made landfall there in terms of White House as a very powerful major hurricane, and some likely devastating storm surge happened in the Black River. So it all depends on the population in those areas along the Black River, Crawford, and areas east of there on just the storm surge totals that might have happened there. But also the wind was catastrophic with this system. Some of the strongest winds we've ever seen in the Atlantic Basin. So, man, okay. Just again, really, all these areas here could be seeing catastrophic damage from the system, and I would be expecting that. And this happened earlier this morning. really earlier this morning into the afternoon hours. So really, the death toll it's quite hard to be predicting this early. We'll get more information over the coming days and weeks, unfortunately, about this. Now let's answer some more questions on it. I'm in Jamaica now, still getting terrible winds. What part of Jamaica are you in? Let's see here. I'm in, let's see. Yeah, I don't know how much ACE has happened from Melissa. I just want to say I'm not sure. I haven't done analysis on it just yet. See, kind of like Sandy, yes, it's similar to Sandy, although it's kind of weakening now. Instead of Sandy strengthening after hitting Jamaica, this is kind of weakening, but it could be intensifying again. Sandy, its worst impacts were in Cuba, and compared to Jamaica, this one, the storm's worst impacts were in Jamaica, and now it's going to be delivering still major impacts in portions of Cuba. It still has around another 6 hours or so before it makes its landfall. Looks like, I believe so, maybe 6 hours or so. Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. 6 hours doesn't have a whole lot of time to re-intensify. That's the great news about how quickly it's moving. Not really doesn't have a whole lot of time to re-intensify before making a landfall in. Let's see, is this loaded yet? Okay, no, this has not loaded just yet. Let me see if I can refresh this now. No, man. Okay, it's not loading on there either. Okay, can't really see the latest frame, but we can look at the mesosector imagery in terms of what that's showing. Again, though, that eye is starting to clear out some, so it is trying to re-intensify some, and you can see it on here. Look at that, just getting better now. Eye temperature is now into the minus 40s Celsius. Earlier it was in the 20s, positive 20 Celsius, but then it cooled down to around the minus 70s. Now it's warming back up to the minus 40s, so it's trying to clear out some, and it's looking like it's still got its structure there quite solidly. You can just see all around it just firing vertical heat towers, a lot of convection there, trying to re-intensify now. So the system is not done just yet. It's not doomed yet, and it may reach another peak when it enters the southwestern Atlantic thanks to a jet interaction. So again, this storm is not done yet. It is going to be slamming into Cuba as quite a powerful storm. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth, for watching my videos. Oh, guys, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We are now only 16 away from 4.6 thousand. Let's see if we can reach that by the end of the live stream. I will be keeping you guys updated throughout the years on other tropical cyclones that will be impacting your region, so subscribing helps keep you up to date. Let's see, 10,000 dead. I don't think it's going to be that high, but it could be in the thousands, depending on how much of a catastrophe has happened in southwestern Jamaica. We've seen storms like Maria in Puerto Rico cause that kind of devastation. It's really rare for a system to be this strong, slamming into a country like Jamaica. If it slows down, could it rapidly intensify again? I don't think it's slowing down. I think it's only going to be speeding up from now on. If it did slow down, though, it would give it a much longer opportunity to rapidly intensify again before making landfall in Cuba. So again, though, that eye is starting to clear out some, and let's see if we can pull up more of this more recent imagery from real Earth. Just so that way we can get more up-to-date imagery here, minute-by-minute imagery on where the system is located. Let's see if I pull this up. Let's do the last 15 frames or so, and let's do the mesosector 1, and let's go towards the clean infrared enhanced. Whoops, well, it has the watermark everywhere, unfortunately. But you can see where the system is located at right now compared to Cuba. It's trying to be a little bit in between the two. Looks like it's roughly around 37 miles away from St. Anne in Jamaica, and it's roughly around 75 miles away from making a landfall somewhere in Cuba. There's a look at the latest imagery on that eye. Unfortunately, we do have all that pixel volume exceeded things. But I'm using this website quite a lot, so that's why that's showing up on there. And though this was its landfall in Jamaica, such a powerful, catastrophic hurricane making landfall there, this would be tied for the strongest Atlantic hurricane landfall in recorded history. The last time that something like this has happened was 1935, the Labor Day hurricane, when it hit the Florida Keys in the United States. So this is by far the strongest landfall in recorded history in Jamaica. So history was made today. If you live in Jamaica, you witnessed history with the system, especially if you're in portions of western Jamaica. Strongest storm ever in recorded history to impact Jamaica as a whole country. Man. Now, it's not over Jamaica right now. It is still delivering some impacts, though. We can see where it's gone right now. Starting to re-intensify some. We are going to get more recon data over the coming hour or so. Speaking of which, let's see if we can get more information on where they are located at. They're starting to make a northwestern turn towards the system, towards Melissa's Eye. Now it's still in Jamaica Kingdom. It's still impacting Jamaica here, so additional impacts are still expected for Jamaica. Across the entire island, I'd be expecting slight impacts or more, mainly in the form of wind and rain. Along portions of the northern portions there, you are still likely experiencing moderate impacts from the system in the form of wind and rain. Some areas are likely going to see an additional 8 to 12 inches of rain, so it's not done just yet for portions of northern Jamaica, especially Trelawney, St. Anne, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth. Portions of your parishes there could be seeing additional moderate impacts with the system. St. Mary and Eastern St. Anne should also be experiencing moderate impacts as well. It's not really highlighted on here, but in terms of hurricane force winds could still be occurring there. Those impacts will likely be significantly downgraded by tomorrow, though. Let's see here. What about here? I think 160 mile an hour landfall. Are you talking about a landfall in... are you talking about a landfall in either Jamaica or Cuba? Are you forecasting a 160 mile an hour landfall in Cuba? Now, I really don't think that that's going to happen with the system. It's weakened quite a bit. So it really doesn't have a whole lot of time to re-intensify before it makes another landfall. It is going to try to re-intensify, though. It's clearly trying to do that right here. It's not going to have anything really preventing it from re-intensifying. It's gotten, like, it's kind of undergone kind of an eye wall replacement cycle, much larger eye now. So nothing's really trying to prevent it from bombing out even further. It's just time. Time is the only thing this system's running against the clock. Only has around 6 hours or so before it makes a landfall in Cuba. Yeah, I don't think it's going to come back to winds of 160 miles an hour. Just again, does not have a whole lot of time to do so. Even rapid intensification would not make this reach Category 5 status. It'd have to explode in intensity. If it had another 24 hours, I'd definitely be seeing a Category 5 out of this. But with this, it's trying to do some maintenance, structurally wise. It's not such a solid hurricane, or like it doesn't have a pristine structure anymore. It's trying to reorganize. Has to do some maintenance. Why does it feel like it's still here in Jamaica, rain and wind constantly? Well, yes, it is currently impacting portions of Jamaica here, as you can see. Some of those outer rain bands and outer cores still impacting portions of northern Jamaica. So you guys are still seeing impacts in Jamaica. It's not over just yet. You guys still are expected to see an additional slight to moderate impacts, depending on where you are located at. So again, it's not over just yet. You guys have gone through the worst of it. Things are going to be calming down, but additional slight to moderate impacts are being forecasted for you there. See what else here. Oh, you watched the Hurricane Moo one. Thank you so much for watching that. Yeah, be sure to subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. I do animations just like this. We are now 13 away from 4.6 thousand. Let's see if we can reach it by the end of the stream. And yes, I will be posting an animation on this storm after it dissipates and after I do all the reanalysis on it. So be prepared for that. That should be coming out by November 9th, would be my guesstimates as to when I will be releasing this animation. We'll be showing the devastating impacts, the Category 5 landfall in Jamaica and the major hurricane landfall in Cuba. You will guys will get to see where it formed, where it hits, and I will also be showing that as well in my Atlantic hurricane season animation, which I will be releasing later this year or early next year. Have not had time to work on it though because of this system. Just all my focus has been poured into this system, trying to keep you guys updated. So again, guys, subscribing really helps out a lot. We're 12 now away from 4.6 thousand. So guys, I plan to do this stream for potentially an additional 90 minutes, depending on how many people are still watching by then, just to keep you guys updated in Jamaica and portions of Cuba, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, and Bermuda. See another question here. Is it land or is two landfalls in the same day in different countries rare? Not necessarily. Definitely not in some portions where the countries are closer together, like portions of the Leeward Islands. It's not really rare at all for that to happen. This storm is moving slower than normal, so this storm could have actually made landfall in three different countries: Jamaica, Cuba, and the Bahamas, all in the same day. So it's really not too rare for this to happen. Yes, and it shattered Gilbert's record as the strongest landfall in recorded history in Jamaica by far. Jamaica's landfall, maximum landfall in recorded history was 130 miles an hour, and that was in portions of eastern Jamaica. Now, this broke the record by far, with winds of 185 miles an hour being estimated by the National Hurricane Center. So this was not just a minimum category 4, category 5 even. This was one of the strongest storms in Atlantic history, unfortunately, making landfall in Jamaica. Once in a century kind of storm. Now, I am curious to see the, let me pull up NOAA hurricane tracks, and let's take a look at the, right here, let's take a look at the history and portions of Jamaica. I will pull up Westmoreland. Let me see if I can pull that up here. No, I'm not sure that this will work here. Let me just see if it does or not. Oh, okay, it does. Westmoreland, in terms of landfalls in Westmoreland, let's see how this stacks up against other tropical cyclones moving through there. See, so there have been 10 tropical cyclones in recorded history that has moved through Westmoreland, with this system now being another one of them. In terms of systems that have moved through there, we can go through them. There is an unnamed tropical depression in 2023, looks like. What was this? Oh yeah, that was 21L, I believe, potentially, or one of those systems that moved through Jamaica there. Nothing too big at that time. There's also, there was a Grace that moved through Westmoreland there as a tropical storm with winds of around, see, that only seems to be winds of around 60 miles an hour moving through there. Really nothing compared to 185 miles an hour. There was Gustav in 2008, which moved through with winds of around 65 miles an hour. There was Gilbert, which moved through with winds of around 100 and, let's see. Okay, so Gilbert did not, I'm confused. Did Gilbert make a landfall at that intensity or not? It doesn't look like it made, on this it doesn't look like it made landfall with, I'm so confused. If it made landfall as a Category 4 or not. Category 3 or 4, really. But it moved through Jamaica there, looks like as a high-end Category 3, so 125 mile an hour winds is the strongest hurricane that's ever moved through Westmoreland. So this made landfall with winds of 185 miles an hour, so 60 mile an hour winds higher than that. Before Gilbert's, there was Dennis in 1981 as a tropical depression. Charlie moved through 1951 as a Category 2 hurricane. Unnamed 1933, likely the strongest landfall here, around 90 miles an hour there. Maybe some of these others made landfall stronger? Doesn't seem like it. There was this one that made landfall around the border, looks like. Yep, made landfall there. This one made landfall as a Category 3, winds of 115 miles an hour. So Westmoreland has seen some major hurricanes, but this has been 1912, so this is a long, long time ago. So yes, this is the strongest landfall in recorded history for Westmoreland and the strongest landfall in recorded history for the entire country of Jamaica, and tied for the strongest for the entire Atlantic Basin. So history happened today. Let's see here. Um, is it normal for hurricanes to reform their eye this fast? It depends. For a hurricane of this intensity and in just how it still maintains its structure by the time it leaves, yes. Because what this does is this does not show the full picture of what's happening with the system. It still has a solid eye as it's moving through Jamaica. It's just not being seen um, on satellite imagery. Satellite imagery is a lot more vertically stacked, like we're looking at the tops of the storm there, so it kind of just reforms it there on here. So I'd say it would, like storms like this, and especially in a favorable environment, it makes sense that they're reforming their eye this quickly. Let's see what else here. If you're not doing updates on hurricanes, you watch all of the animations. Thank you so much. That really helps out a lot. I do a lot of animations. Um, so I will definitely be doing one on this one. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're 9 away. Yes, Harvey was an example of one of those storms that have um, that has, I guess, reformed their eye really quickly. It's not really reform an eye. It didn't really have another phase where it reformed its eye. But yeah, storms like this can reform their eye very quickly after making landfall. Um, because the land can only disrupt it so much. It still has a core together, and it needs to continue. Once it reaches the fuel again, which is the ocean here, those ocean waters of 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, so very warm. I believe that's in the upper 80s in terms of Fahrenheit. Very warm water for the system to feed off of as fuel, to fire up more of these vertical heat towers there all around the center. And then you get the clearing eye. And that eye continues to clear. Looks like there. We can take a look at some of the, let's see here, some of the satellite estimates in terms of how warm is that eye now? Minus 33 degrees Celsius here. We can pull up this imagery instead. I believe there's also zoomed in views. We can maybe pull that up. There's a look at the more zoomed in view of that eye. And we can probably look at another thing here. Is there going to be a graph? Let me pull up. So there's where the storm is located right now, and you can see again that eye starting to clear out quite a bit. Now, in terms of, let's go back to this one right here, and we can get more data in terms of graphs. Maximum eye temperature, we'll want to look at that graph right here. Yep, you can see how the eye temperature tanks right after making landfall. So what does this black line mean? I don't know what that means. Yeah, I'm quite uncertain as to what the black line means here because there's two of them. Um, anyways, it has tanked, or I mean, it's tanked quite a bit. It was down into around minus 70 degrees Celsius, minus 65 degrees Celsius, and then now it's steadily warm, so it's coming back. My temperature is rapidly warming. Looks like it's going to be hitting minus 20 degrees Celsius in an hour or so. So really, it's coming back in intensity. So unfortunately, the system is trying to re-intensify again before making landfall in Cuba. So again, could be seeing another Category 4 landfall at least out of this. Can it shift towards the east? Yes, it can. It can be shifting towards. Let's see. I believe it shifted a little bit more to the east right now. Yeah, so it's gone a little bit more on the eastern side of forecasted there. So yeah, it could be going even more east, and it could be making a landfall in Santiago de Cuba. I would not be ruling that out with this system. These wobbles will be happening, and especially land really disrupting where the system was going. It kept it more to the west, and now it's been making a jog more to the east. So yes, a landfall around Santiago de Cuba, those areas. Really, Santiago de Cuba province, though, is expected with the system. Now, it's really going to be key on whether or not it makes landfall in west or east of Santiago de Cuba. All of the ensemble members from the Google AI, Google DeepMind AI model shows all towards the west of Santiago de Cuba, and what that will do is that will be bringing in quite some bad surge into the Bay Area there. A lot of these areas being quite susceptible to storm surge. So yes, it could shift to the east, and if it shifts to the east there, it will be also impacting. Um, will also be impacting portions of the Bahamas as well. If this shifts any more to the east, and it could be making landfall potentially in around a Crooked Island. Is this Crooked Island or which one is like Crooked Island? Ackland's Island? I'm so confused. Okay, Crooked Island. What island is this one then? It doesn't say. Okay, I believe that's Crooked Island over there. See, because these are both the same. There's a place called Florida in there? Okay. Crooked Island, and Ackland's Island. Where's Ackland's is down here, but these are the same. Hmm. So I'm guessing this is Crooked Island over here. Just need to learn more about my geography in the Bahamas. I've learned so much about my Jamaican provinces. That's been quite interesting learning about all those provinces in Jamaica. Just unfortunately, I don't really like doing that because I mean, if I'm learning about your provinces or parishes, that means it means that there's something bad heading your way. So here, what category is it right now? It is quite uncertain to say what category it is as of right now because the Hurricane Center, their recon planes are only really getting winds of up to Category 2. Looks like we are going to get a new recon entering the storm recently, or soon, very soon. They did get to the storm earlier, or they were trying to get to it earlier, but they hit birds when they tried to leave, so then they kind of had to fly right back. So the mission was delayed a little bit. But we will be getting more information shortly. Excuse me for that. Water went down the wrong way. Let me mute myself for a moment. All right, apologies for that. Okay. Now, yes, in terms of category, it could be a Category 4 right now. Again, satellite estimates, I believe, are supporting that. We can take a look at what these satellite estimates are actually supporting right now using a website here. Let me pull up this. This is NACWX. This is a pretty good website for looking at satellite estimates. Now, in terms of how strong it is right now, let's see. We don't really have any recent satellite estimates because it was over land. But it looks like some of these estimates are still showing Category 5 out of this. Some of these analysis looks like TAF or is TAF B? TAF B is also showing, but that's 12 hours ago. Some of these more automated estimates are showing a lot of Category 5 readings on here, unfortunately. So again, this is the higher end of what it could be right now. I don't really think that's the case. Recon has not found support for that at all. Recon has only found support of around Category 2 winds, which I don't think that that's right either, quite right either. I'd really say that this is around a Category 3 or 4 strength system, right on the border between the two. I have it as a Category 4 on the graphic because that's what I believed it was likely going to be at around this time. And it could be making a landfall as a Category 4. Can't really forecast an intensity higher than that because the 12-hour point is already inland in portions of Holguin province in eastern Cuba. So we got a question about Portland's remaining impacts. Let's see, Portland, depending on where you are expected to see additional slight impacts regardless of where you are. But in terms of rainfall, those amounts will vary. If you are in portions here, I'll zoom in some on Portland so we can get more defined impacts here. Now, in terms of impacts here, if you're in the eastern, far eastern, southeastern portions of Portland, you're only expected to get around an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain. You're mostly through the storm. Now, if you're in this portion of Portland, roughly looks to be around like this, you are expected to see an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain, and that does include parts of Long Bay, Boston Bay, those areas. And now portions of northwestern Portland, which does include Port Antonio, you are expected to see an additional, this would be around, oops, sorry, wrong number. Okay. You are expected to see an additional 4 to 6 inches of rain in this region. So again, you are expected to see slight impacts regardless of where you are for the for wind impacts. But in this area right over here, you are expected to see slight impacts in the form of rain as well. So you guys are almost through this. You got this. Just got to go through one more night, and then things will be calm again. I think we broke a record with 2 seasons in a row of having at least one storm of being sub 900 millibars. Yes, we did. That's now a record in Atlantic history right now. All right. How big will the wind field be once it leaves Cuba? It will expand quite a bit, and we can discuss that on here. Let's look at the latest HAFS A model run here. We can kind of show how large the wind field is going to be by the time it reaches Cuba. Now, I believe the question asks, let me just double check here. Can I move these or no? Okay, I can't. Let's see. Once it leaves Cuba. So before it leaves Cuba, let me just try and pull this up here in terms of distance. Or let me do it like this. So wind field to tropical storm force winds. Let me just try to figure out how large of an area this is. Looks to be around 416 kilometers wide of tropical storm force winds by the time it makes landfall in Cuba. Afterwards, by the time it reaches the Bahamas, that wind field, let's see what it looks like there. Wind field grows to around 470 kilometers, so it goes from around 410 to 470 kilometers. By the time it nears Bermuda, that wind field will increase potentially even further. This shows it around the same, 460 kilometers, but really expands on that eastern side. And then by the time, let's zoom out even further to the parent run. Let's see here. Let me go out even further. When the wind field expands to its highest when it's southeast of Canada, gets up much larger here with around 600 kilometers wide of tropical storm or gale force winds with the system. Man, and yeah, you could see the front racing across Florida that's going to be coming in soon, and that's going to be sweeping the system out. Look at that. See, can we see that on vorticity at all? You can kind of see it right there, sweeping the system out, that line going across Florida there, trying to push it out. Man, okay. Now, in terms of hurricane force wind, that wind field will also be expanding with the system. Let's go into more zoomed in look at Melissa again to look at those hurricane force winds. As of right now, they're probably around, if we open this map up, looks to be around 100 and, oh man, it's not showing it here. Man, okay. That's a problem, doesn't I really wish the scale could show how large of an area is. Can't really show that on here, though. It will be expanding, though, by the time it nears, or it looks to be around the same size for hurricane force winds. Maybe expands on the eastern side, especially by the time it nears Bermuda. Maybe the HAFS B run shows it a little bit larger. It looks like the HAFS B run shows it significantly larger by the time it nears Bermuda. So yes, that wind field will be increasing in size. I hope Melissa stays at Category 3. Yes, I do too. I hope it weakens. But really, just looking at this, though, it is not trying to weaken at all before its landfall. It's trying to strengthen. That eye temperature is warming, and it looks like there's a new burst of convection right there, a new vertical heat tower just to the west there, starting to fire around the system again, and it's spreading all throughout the system, really widening out on that western side. And if we take a look at the eye temperature right now, as of the most recent frames, continuing to warm, looks to be around minus 30 degrees Celsius. It's cooled a little bit due to that vertical heat tower now covering up some of that clear eye. And looking at the chart here, yep, it's leveled off just a little bit right now. And let's see more comments here. It's probably going to be a mid-range Category 4 at landfall. I'd agree with your assessment on that. Looks like it may be a Category or Category 4, mid-range Category 4 at landfall. By the time it hits Cuba. If it had more time, it could try to make a run for Category 5 status, but really just time and Jamaica tearing up the system that's really prevented it from being such a powerful storm, such a historic storm for Cuba. It's still going to be historic for Santiago de Cuba. The strongest landfall in recorded history is going to be happening there in Santiago de Cuba. Also, will Nassau be having any impacts on the Bahamas? Well, looking at Nassau, they are not highlighted as anything right now for any impacts from the system, fortunately. So you are good to go in Nassau. No rainfall is being forecasted for you there. No wind impacts really are forecasted for you. You should be fine with the system. If I zoom out a little bit here, looking at Nassau, yeah, not really getting any impacts there. Winds are going to be fairly low. You may get some gusty winds in the outer, let's see, in some of those outer rain bands. You may be you're getting some of the outer outflow of the storm right now. Looks like, or let me go even more recent. It looks like you're getting some of that outflow. It'd be great if this would load. So you are getting some of that outflow from the system. Maybe getting some rain. I'm not sure. Looks like you could be getting some rain right now. Oh my god, this looks so weird. But not really expecting anything much at all in Nassau. Looking at the forecast from the European run in terms of when impacts could peak, you guys could see some gusty winds. I'll say that. Nothing tropical storm force really. Maybe tropical storm force gust at most. That will be happening. Let's see. Today's Tuesday, so around Thursday evening, Thursday afternoon and evening. I'd say conditions pick up over tomorrow, throughout the day tomorrow, with them peaking at around Thursday. Gusts of only around 30 to 35 mile an hour winds are being forecasted for you there, but conditions get just as bad as around Sunday with another potentially cold front moving through. So really, this isn't going to do a whole lot to you in Nassau. Okay, the black line in that chart means average. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, I did not know what that meant, so it's the average of the fluctuations. Thank you. That makes more sense. So yes, guys, if you're in Jamaica and watching this, congratulations. You're doing great so far. You're already through most of the storm. You're already halfway through it. Just have to go through some of those outer rain bands. Just you're almost through it. You've gone through the worst of it. You still have to go through additional slight to moderate impacts depending on where you are in Jamaica. Now, when do you think there will be more footage and drone footage of the system, or of the damage? It should be coming out over the next day or two. We've got a lot of people with some people with Starlinks there. We should get some decent footage out of this in terms of seeing how severe the impacts were. So here, did she pass Jamaica? Yes, she made a direct impact in portions of western Jamaica here. Here was the landfall earlier this morning into the afternoon hours. So yes, it did make a historic landfall in Westmoreland and around White House area. Catastrophic landfall, winds of 185 miles an hour, pressure of 892 millibars being estimated by the National Hurricane Center. That's tied for the strongest landfall in Atlantic history. Now, it could have weakened some before landfall. That's what I think might have happened. Still, though, just impressive storm, unfortunately. Unprecedented in Jamaica. It saw Gilbert's record being so low and just thought, I can beat that. Not just by a bit, I'm going to beat it by a large margin. I doubt anything's going to be worse than this storm throughout the next century in terms of this caliber of a storm making landfall directly on Jamaica. Incredibly unlucky for Jamaica. It could have easily missed it more to the west or more to the east, but it slammed into Jamaica. Really unfortunate that a storm like this slammed into you guys. Let's see. Kingston getting crazy impacts. Well, yeah, Kingston is still getting some. They were expected in total seeing catastrophic impacts from this system. Looks like there's another rain band maybe impacting you guys in Kingston. But additional slight impacts are being expected for you there in Kingston, mainly for the wind. It's likely gusty right now. Let's see, yeah, gusts of up to 46 miles an hour are happening right now. Let's see what the weather station has been reporting. Maximum gusts of 69 miles an hour happened for you guys. So yeah, hurricane force, almost hurricane force gusts look like. Yeah, sustained winds are tropical storm force. So yeah, additional slight impacts, I'd say. This is some more damaging winds happening, but it is leaving you guys. Okay, so it is going to get better. And 92 mile an hour wind gusts happening right now from Montego Bay. Wow. Okay, I want to see the strongest wind gust that was recorded. Okay, this looks to be the... Oh, wow, so the station did go down. Man, okay, so we don't have much pressure data there, unfortunately. Going to be very interesting to compile all the data here and give an animation out to you guys. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for when that comes out. We are 6 subscribers away from 4.6 thousand. In terms of additional impacts in Kingston, we can discuss that rainfall totals of around 2 to 4 inches are being expected for you there, so not a whole lot of additional rainfall. Fortunately, impacts should begin calming down overnight. I would not be leaving your shelter until sunrise. And then you can start inspecting the damage and things like that. Where is the system now? Let's discuss how far away it is from certain areas of Jamaica. Let's look at this imagery right here to kind of discuss how far away it is from areas in Jamaica. The center is roughly around 37 miles. It's closest to around Ocho Rios, around 35 miles away from the border of Saint Anne and Saint Mary. Around there, it looks to be around 30 to 40 miles away from St. Anne. Trelawney looks to be around 50 miles away. St. James is around 70 miles away, with Hanover looking to be around 70 to 80 miles away. Looking at portions of St. Mary, looks to be around 35 miles away. Portland is 55 miles away. St. Thomas around 70 miles away. St. Andrew around 55 miles away. Kingston's around 70 miles away. St. Catherine looks to be around 50 miles away. Clarendon, 56 miles away. Manchester, around 59 miles away. St. Elizabeth, around 70 miles away. And Westmoreland, the farthest, it looks to be around 80 miles away. So it is pulling away from you guys in Jamaica, from you all in Jamaica. Yes, if you are in Cuba and the Bahamas, you need to be completing your preparations now, or you need to be rushing your preparations if you haven't already for portions of Cuba, as it is expected to make a historic landfall in Santiago de Cuba, something unlike you guys have ever seen before. You guys have been hit by major hurricanes, low-end Cat 3s, but nothing like this before in terms of Santiago de Cuba province in Cuba. Again, this is forecast to be making landfall as a powerful Category 4, so again, this is also going to be historic for you guys in Cuba. Really rush your preparations to completion if you haven't already. Bahamas as well, this could be rolling through you guys as a major hurricane, so you guys need to complete your preparations by tomorrow night if you have not already. Bermuda as well also should be preparing for the system. You guys are under a hurricane watch. Will this be more tragic than Helene? I don't think so. This will be the potentially most tragic event ever in Jamaican history in terms of weather-wise. Just really bad there. See, why does it keep saying that message retracted for Simon? For Simon and Rhonda. I don't know why it keeps saying that. Yes, but you guys have seen my animations. Thank you guys so much. Yes, don't underestimate Melissa. Yep. Yes, the Caribbean is still warm. Those waters are quite warm where it's moving over right now, and oceanic heat content is quite high as well. Waters are anywhere from 29 to 31 degrees Celsius all the way up until landfall. Mainly around that 30 degrees Celsius mark, though. So they are still incredibly warm. Oceanic heat content is mattering less and less for a system like this. This has just been something like I've never seen before, just how bad, how strong of a storm this could be as it's stalling. So really, it used that oceanic heat content so effectively. Storms like Beryl, it did not matter. Even though they went over the same areas, Beryl was speeding through, so it did not really churn up those waters that much. This storm is just stalling over it, and it will be interesting to see how cool those waters gets. I don't think they'll get a whole lot colder than what they're at right now. We can take a look though at some of the model runs here in terms of those water temperatures. So here, yeah, HWRF model run here does not show those waters cooling by much. Those are down to around 27 degrees Celsius, I think, around 26 or 27 degrees Celsius. So really not great there. I mean, it has not cooled it down too significantly, looks like. We can take a look at some of the other model runs, like the whoops, wrong one. Half Sand Melissa there. Yeah, it has not cooled it down too significantly there, really at all, even where it's been churning. Now, over portions of northeastern Jamaica, it looks like it is going to cool down those waters quite a bit. Maybe the oceanic heat content is lower there. Let's double check. It's on the lower side, I guess. It's not too significant there for northeastern Jamaica. Don't know why it's cooling those waters so much. Is Recon in the storm yet? We can take a look at the latest Recon updates, seeing how close they are to the storm right now. Okay, what the heck are they doing? They're doing a little bit of a loop. Okay. I don't know what they're deciding on. They did I swear they did this in another mission. I swear it was like this mission that they did a little bit of a loop before entering the storm. I'm not quite sure why. I'm going to see if I can ask the Discord server. See if they have a question. And guys, if you haven't already, please consider joining the Discord server and other social media platforms. Follow me on there. I post more updates on X, so if you use that, consider following me at hurricane_chase. If you use Instagram, please follow me there on at hurricanechaserchase. Would really help out a lot there. Post more cones and things like that and personal chase stuff. On Facebook and Blue Sky, you can follow me at Cyclone Tracking. In Discord, you can join the Discord server, discord.gg/chasestorm. Okay, now I know why the recon is descending. Or why they're doing a loop. They're descending. Thanks to Glowing Rose for mentioning that in the Discord server. So yeah, looks like they are descending, getting closer to the. Here, let's go to this here. That makes a whole lot more sense now. I'm learning more about this. Just so much to be looking at right now. So it looks like they are descending in terms of height or altitude. Which that would make a lot more sense. Yep, and then they'll be flying into the storm pretty soon. Within the next hour, they will be getting more data on it, and we'll be seeing how much is it intensifying. That is going to be a question on everyone's mind right now. How much is this system intensifying? We've just been seeing, that eye starting to become more apparent, more clear, and more of those vertical heat towers just firing all around the system. How much more is the system going to try and intensify before it makes landfall in Cuba? Doesn't have a whole lot of time. How effectively is it going to be using this environment in around 6 hours? Again, it doesn't have a whole lot of time, but it's really trying to make a run for the money there. Make a run for its money. Chase, is there such a thing as inner bands? Yes, there is. Inner bands are things like things that could form into another eye wall around the storm. Inner bands are a thing. Let's see, Sharky coming. No, this is going to be a solo stream for this one. So it's just going to be me here. So wait, well, why are the messages being retracted? I'm not quite sure about that. Guys, can you let me know why the messages are being retracted? Are you guys doing that? Just trying to make sure because I've been seeing people retract their messages, and I'm quite curious as to why that is. In terms of, there's not much to say about evacuating the Cuba and Bahamas. Can't really, I don't really say that because it all depends on your local governments and what they're saying if you should evacuate or not. Really, Cuba, you guys are going to be getting hit with a major hurricane here, especially on the southern portions of Cuba. Major impacts from the system. You guys can't really evacuate anymore. It's unsafe to do so. You guys need to be hunkered down. Get to a more sturdy area. I'm going to be getting a lot more better graphics to kind of explain kind of what to do. I'm really going to be trying to invest, quote unquote, invest my time in making more graphics about that on things to do. Whatever, just so that way I can convey the message more clearly to you guys there. But in terms of Cuba, it's not really a thing about evacuating from the system. You guys don't have time. You guys need to evacuate from low-lying areas, of course, because the rainfall threat is going to be quite extreme. 300 to 400 millimeters of rain. That's major impacts in terms of rainfall, and 400 to 500 millimeters of rain is possible. You could get isolated totals up to that. Overall, catastrophic impacts are expected in terms of rainfall, but additional major impacts are possible across portions of Cuba. That corridor including Granma, Santiago de Cuba, and Guantanamo, as well as portions of southern Holguin provinces in Cuba. See, in St. Catherine, we're still getting moderate to strong winds. Yes, that would make sense. St. Catherine there, you are in the category for slight impacts right now. Additional slight impacts. So yes, you guys are going to be still experiencing some strong winds from the system. Don't worry though, guys, winds are going to be calming down. We can discuss those St. Catherine's impacts from this system. In terms of St. Catherine, looks like, if I zoom in here, St. Catherine, additional impacts are expected to be slight impacts in terms of wind across the parish. But in terms of rainfall, there is going to be this area, including Portmore, which is only expected to see an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain, whereas the northern portions are expected to get around 4 to 6 inches of rain. So Wharton is included in that 4 to 6 inches. Same with Linstead. Slight impacts from both rain and wind, and slight impacts for wind in the southern portions. The storm is pulling away from you all, so that is good news for you guys. Um, you guys have gone through the worst of it. You all in St. Catherine have gone through the worst. Things are going to be calming down. Let's see here, what else? Beryl surprised everyone. Yes, this storm surprised everyone as well. I don't think really anyone was expecting it to be this bad. I made post about it saying that this does have the potential to be one of the strongest landfalls. Then someone tried to say, oh, that's irresponsible to post whatever. And then I'm like, okay, well, it does have the potential. People do need to know that. Fortunately, though, that word did get out. I did get that message out, but unfortunately, it did become tied for the strongest landfall in recorded history in the Atlantic Basin. We are now 4 subscribers away from 4.6 thousand. Let's see if we can hit that before the end of the stream. I was not really expecting this stream to get that big, so I really appreciate all the viewership here. I'm going to be going on for another hour, and I'm going to be doing another live stream by the time it makes landfall in Cuba. See, got a question here. She's leaving tonight, so why are they acting like this? Like, why is Melissa acting like this? Well, still giving you some of those outer rain bands and outer impacts, so you are still getting into that wind field of damaging impacts. So it hasn't completely left you all. There is also a wind field element to this as well, so it's not done just quite yet for you all in Jamaica. Conditions are going to be improving, but yes, you have likely gone through the worst of it. Jaehoon says they think it's going to be making landfall with winds of 145 to 150 miles an hour. That is possible in portions of Cuba. Again, all it needs to be is 120 miles an hour to be the strongest landfall in recorded history for Santiago de Cuba. The current forecast was around 140 mile an hour winds. It's currently 125 mile an hour winds. So again, though, it's currently above that threshold, and it's expected to strengthen even further. So really, it is looking like this will be the strongest landfall in recorded history in Santiago de Cuba, unfortunately. Let's see what other comments here. Let's see, Miller says, lucky for Jamaica that the storm went further west than predicted, though terrible for many, of course. A new kind of storm with those new sea surface temperatures. I mean, it's been insane, though. Unfortunately, it's slammed into western Jamaica. Also Montego Bay, those areas. But Kingston still got impacts from this system. The entirety of Jamaica got at least, I believe, at least major impacts from this system. Maybe a majority of it got catastrophic impacts, with areas along the western portion seeing unprecedented impacts. Really, it would have been much better if it just wobbled completely to the west. Still would have been just a powerful storm by the time it reaches Cuba. So really, this is what's kind of weakening the storm before it reaches Cuba. So you guys are taking one for the team for Cuba, but unfortunately, it didn't do much. The storm is trying to re-intensify before making landfall in in Cuba. Looks like that eye temperature has it. Okay, it's warmed a bit. Yeah, now it's down. Now it's up to minus 28 Celsius. Let's see here, how long is this frame? Around 30 minutes ago, it was around minus 32 Celsius. It's been fluctuating. Now it's down to now it's up to minus 28 Celsius. The warmer that is, the more clear the eye is. And here, though, you can see it is looking better, unfortunately. Of course, Jamaica tore it apart. Now you can see it's starting to grow again. So the system is not done yet being a major hurricane. And let's see how close recon is getting to the system. If they're still descending, looks like. Yep, so they are getting ready to go through the system. Okay, they should be entering it within the next hour. Yes, crazy right now that we witnessed history. Yes, everyone today we witnessed history this morning and afternoon. Unfortunately, across the Atlantic Basin, across Jamaica. This will be talked about for potentially, well, easily decades and potentially centuries of this kind of storm. This once in a century kind of impact for Jamaica. So yes, this will be talked about for centuries in Jamaica. And of course, decades. It will still be historic for the Atlantic Basin. This storm will be talked about for centuries, I believe, in the Atlantic. Okay. Let's see what else here. Chase, have you checked out weather-wise? Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you for reminding me about looking that up on the Climate Prediction Center. Let's pull that up. Let's see here. If I go to Climate Prediction Center and we go to tropical cyclone formation, so week 2, there is an area highlighted in the Caribbean Sea here with a 20 to 40% chance of tropical formation. And there is also areas by the Philippines here, the Philippine Sea, an area highlighted with 40 to 60% chance of something developing over here. So the Philippines need to be watching out for this potential system. Also, the South and West Indian Ocean is also highlighted for a 20 to 40% chance. Looking over to week 3, there's also another area here. Let me show week 2 compared to week 3. South of Jamaica here with a 20 to 40% chance of another tropical cyclone potentially developing over here. Looking at the Philippines, we also have another area with a 20 to 40% chance highlighted there. So they all need to be watching this, watching the tropics as well. As we go forward in time, our focus will be shifting away from Melissa and more onto the Western Pacific, as there are multiple disturbances that could try to develop over the next week or so. We can show those latest Google AI Ensemble members and what they're thinking in the Western Pacific Basin. Oops, sorry, wrong thing. Here we go. Again, two signals are emerging here that may try to combine by the time they near the Philippines. So really, it's a very uncertain forecast. Those that have it continuing off to the west impact Vietnam as a typhoon. Those that have it going a little bit slower gets pulled into the other low here. They kind of combine and become. A lot of these have them becoming a Category 4 or 5. So it's very uncertain to be discussing it this far out. Sure, I guess I can highlight all of them on here, kind of the consensus. It's quite difficult discussing a consensus with a storm like this. Let me try and highlight it like this instead. Maybe this will do a better job of it. So these are the ones that have it kind of combining together and what they want to happen. The consensus here has it becoming a Category 4 or 5. So, yeah, really a major typhoon is being expected near the Philippines. Within the next 10 days or so. So this is going to be an unfortunate thing to try to forecast. So our focus will be shifting away from Melissa over the coming days. Still, I'm going to have to do a whole lot of reanalysis on this system. If you guys want to see the in-depth reanalysis, you guys can join the Discord server, discord.gg/chasestorm. Mention in the verification channel you join from the stream. I will get to verifying you. I have a whole lot to get done. Once I finally have the spare time to get things done, I'm behind on some things with the Discord and things like that and analysis. I've just been so focused on Melissa. Oh, guys, thank you so much for 4.6 thousand subscribers. Let's go. Guys, thank you so much for that. We are only 400 away from 5,000 now. That is absurd to me to believe that we could actually be reaching 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I really appreciate all the support there. I am going to need to be making an announcement soon thanking you all for 4,000 subscribers. I'll be making an announcement for like 4.6 thousand, okay? That's going to be what I'm going to be saying. I don't like celebrating when a storm like this is going on because, well, I mean, I'm more so focused on the storm itself and in communicating the impact, so we can celebrate that later. And so yes, this hasn't happened since 1935 and 2019. I believe that's what you mean with the landfall of winds of 185 miles an hour. That's what you mean there. I believe so. I don't know if there's any other hurricane that made landfall with winds of 185 miles. You know what? Hold on. There's actually a stat somewhere that I can pull up. Let's see, where is it here? Sorry about that. I'm just trying to find the. Where is it? I'm just trying to find out where did I post it? There's a record sheet that shows the strongest landfalls. Okay, Dorian, yeah, so this was the only time that a 185 mile an hour landfall has happened, since the only two other times was 2019 and 1935. It was 2017 one time with Irma, but that has been downgraded to 180. I do believe this will potentially be downgraded to a 180 mile an hour winds as well, but it all depends on what the peak intensity was on trying to figure out the landfall intensity when it slammed into Jamaica. Um, so trying to do the reanalysis is going to be a real pain. There's so much data to go through, but this data will be researching this data will be life saving in terms of getting more, learning more about tropical cyclones and of this caliber, in terms of how to better prepare and how to get this message across that you could be getting hit with a powerful Category 5. Is it away from Jamaica now? It is moving away from Jamaica. Still, some impacts are happening across portions of um, let's see here, across Jamaica. Still slight impacts happening across the country, with the northernmost parishes seeing moderate impacts, additional impacts remaining. So it is starting to move away from Jamaica. Cuba's up next for impacts. See if I can speed this up a little bit more. There we go. Showing it a little bit better there. Let's see here. What else? I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting to your stuff here. Recon should be getting into the storm soon, so um, we'll see that when that happens. They're still flying around in circles. They'll get to it. Is it still in Jamaica? It is leaving Jamaica. So again, still additional impacts are expected across Jamaica here. As you can see on this graphic, additional slight to moderate impacts depending on where you are located in Jamaica. So again, you are expected to see again additional rainfall totals of up to 8 to 12 inches, especially in that orange highlighted area. So it's not done for you just yet. Additional moderate to major impacts are possible there. Man, I really should have highlighted the area's possibility of major impacts, but I've kept it at moderate impacts there. So you guys have gone through the worst of it. You've gone through around half of it. We've knocked down that categories from extreme/catastrophic down to moderate and slight, and then we'll downgrade that again by tomorrow. Should be gone by tomorrow. So just got to go through one more day of impacts, and then you're good. By tomorrow morning, it should be a lot better. Can you look at the weather nerds? Lightning is firing off on all cylinders around the eye. Ooh, let's take a look at lightning activity. That is indicative of intensification, and we can pull that up on here. Let's take a look at if there's more lightning firing up around it. Oh wow, yes, okay. Yes, very powerful convective burst around the eye wall. So yes, it is trying to rapidly intensify, looks like. Again, it is going to be undergoing what's called a jet interaction. Basically, it's very close to the jet stream, which is allowing for a lot more outflow, which is basically exhaust for the system. So it really tries to use that heat up more effectively. So yeah, all those dots you're seeing are lightning strikes. I do want to say that again here. Are lightning strikes from the storm. And let's see if we can go back to, oops, zoom in mode. Let me zoom in a lot more on it here. There we go. So all those white pixels or white dots you're seeing, those are lightning strikes within the system. So again, a lot more thunderstorm activity happening on the southwestern side with that big burst that happened. Yeah, so very powerful convective burst there on the southern side, as we saw there. Really allowing for it to try to intensify further. So this is expected to make landfall likely within the next 6 hours or so, maybe even less. I believe down to now 5 hours or so is when the landfall is expected to be. Let's see. See, oh yeah, the Philippines potentially getting hits. Yeah, the Philippines are going to be needing to watch some of these other systems. There's one highlighted right now with a 10% chance of tropical development over the next 48 hours, and a 40% chance over the next 7 days. That's going to be this guy right here. That could be developing, and these two are going to try to do a little bit of a merge. It depends on how close they get. We can kind of show you guys the show you all the run on here, the European run, what it's showing. So in terms of right now, there's going to be two areas of low pressure here. This is around tomorrow morning. Got one right here and got another right here. These are those two waves, two tropical waves that are going to be trying to merge around each other. Now, if we go to around, this would be Thursday night for you all in the Philippines. Here's one right here, and then here's a low pressure area trying to form right there. Again, broad area of low pressure there. If we go to then Friday night in the Philippines, there we got another a tropical wave right there, and there's the low pressure area right down there. Go a little bit further in time. This would be at around Saturday nights. You can see it, they're now starting to dance around each other. There's a broad area of low pressure enveloping both of them. Then if we go even further to that, then we go to Sunday nights. Then they kind of one gets absorbed by the other, and there's a broad area of low pressure still trying to develop. And we go further into Monday nights. There we go, a broad area of low pressure now approaching Palau and Yap. And then beyond that, so this would be around Tuesday morning, starting to approach the Philippines there, or Tuesday night, excuse me. And then at around Wednesday night, looks like it's then going through the Philippines on that run. This one then does have another system trying to quickly intensify. But again, this all matters, though, on how close do these two areas of low pressure actually end up. Some of those earlier runs wanted them farther apart. Now these most recent runs want them a little bit closer together in how they're oriented. One's on the northeast side, one's on the southwest side. Yes, Cat Gaming says, I'll be the first to comment on this stream. Yes, thank you. Yes, 4.6K, congrats. Thank you guys so much for all the support, really. I haven't been able to fully take it in. I've just been looking at my phone and just been, wow, okay. I was not expecting that. It's been a dream of mine to be able to get all this information out to you all. So it really means a lot to me, all this support. I do my best to get all this information, all the information out that I can to you all in the impact zone of certain areas. So subscribing really helps me get this word out even more. And if you guys haven't already, please consider following me. If you followed me enough already on YouTube and you want to support me on another platform, you can definitely support me on these other platforms, especially Instagram. Facebook, and Blue Sky, I'd really appreciate a follow there, especially Instagram. I'm trying to catch up on Instagram. I've just been using that recently, so that'd help out a lot. X, I already have enough of a following there. I have like 7.6K, I believe, there. So I don't really need any. It's really for you guys. If you want more information there, you can follow me on there. Just Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. That'd help out a lot, getting the information to other people and other demographics. Let's talk more about the storm. The other questions here. Yes, let's hope this isn't a Gaimi version 2. Something interesting about the system, the fact that you mentioned Gaimi, that was a system that impacted Taiwan, and that kind of did a little bit of a turn after it was approaching Taiwan. Like, imagine if this was Taiwan here, it pretty much approached it, and then it did a little bit of a loop away, and then it hit it again, pretty much. It did like, it would have done one of these kind of trajectories. Something interesting about this system, though, is the mountains actually tried to potentially deflect it away from Jamaica, but eventually it just had to roll through. So that's something interesting that happened with this system. It did try to make a northward wobble because it was getting a little bit too close to the mountains there, and that's what made it make landfall in Westmoreland. It was looking like it was going to make landfall in St. Elizabeth. We were talking about this for the longest time, around 70% chance of it actually making landfall in St. Elizabeth Parish, but it did make a western jog, and then it made landfall in Westmoreland. Let's see, Jehoon says, I heard that the storm may have potentially been stronger than 125 miles an hour because they based the strength on satellite imaging. No, they based it off to recon data, I believe, a mixture of the two. Recon data was only supporting around 100 mile an hour winds um, as of right now. In the Actually ran an hour ago, right now, an hour and a half ago, actually. Well, it's been a while. Um, did it support an increased intensity there? Um, But in terms of like right now, it's probably strengthened further than that. We'll get more data from the recon once they finally enter the storm. Let's see where they're at right now. They're still doing more loops. Looks like they are still descending. Looks like so they are getting ready to intercept the storm and get some valuable data on this system. Has the eye come back? Yes, it has. The eye's really been there for a while, but it's now starting to appear more here. I'll show you guys it on this run. Let's see. Does this one please work? Yep. Here's a look at it going through Jamaica, and then there's the eye coming back. So yes, it is re-intensifying now, unfortunately, before it's going to be slamming into Cuba within the next 6 hours or so. I'm going to be curious to see when the next National Hurricane Center update comes out and when they're or what they're going to be forecasting the landfall timing to be. I am planning to do another live stream for that. Well, okay, I've been seeing a lot of talks about the fatality counts as to how high it could be. I've been seeing some people saying it could be in the thousands. It's quite uncertain with a storm like this. It did not directly hit the most populated areas of Jamaica, but it still has really caused a lot of damage in western Jamaica and Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, eastern Hanover, St. James, and western Trelawney, really getting devastated by the storm. Especially catastrophic impacts to Black River. So it's going to be interesting to see the scope of this storm. Was this stronger than Maria? Yes, it was. In terms of its minimum central pressure, it was, and strongest winds, it was lower. In terms of landfall intensity in Puerto Rico, I think was around 150 miles an hour. This is around 180 to 190 miles an hour. So, yeah, much stronger than Maria was in Puerto Rico. We've seen some devastation with Maria in terms of those impacts in Puerto Rico. Maybe seeing something very similar or even worse in portions of western Jamaica. See, breeze is still heavy in Jamaica, yes, and I'd expect that to continue throughout the night. Tonight, before finally calming down by tomorrow morning. There should still be a decent breeze tomorrow morning, maybe just like a little bit of a light breeze, a little bit windy, but it should be calming down throughout the day on Wednesday, and then pretty much you won't really notice anything. Right now, though, you are certainly noticing stuff in Jamaica, still getting some impacts from it. Let's see, other questions here. Oh yeah, the Fujiwara effect. Yes, that's what it's called there. The Fujiwara effect. When those two systems kind of merge together, that's on here. These two lows, then one absorbs the other. That is the Fujiwara effect. We can show an earlier run. I believe one of these earlier runs shows it much better. No, not really. Let's see, the Fujiwara effect, though, when they dance around each other, that's what's going to be happening in the Western Pacific, potentially with two of those tropical waves. Don't remember where they are exactly. I believe one's right here and one's right here. Let me just pull this up, kind of showing it more. Yeah, it looks to be like one is located right around here. The other is located either right around here or over here. I'm not quite sure. We'll get more of an idea of where the precursors are over the next 24 to 48 hours. So, are you in college? Yes, I am. I do attend college. Um, that's why I mean, thankfully, I did not have class today, so I was able to cover the storm making its historic landfall. Um, it making its historic landfall in Jamaica. I was able to cover that and witness history with the system. Insane. I would have had class at that time. So I'm so glad there was not any class. The professor there is also Jamaican. I did want to say that. So he actually reached out to me about the storm and kind of the impacts from this, and um, man, it's awful though that there's always the human elements of these storms, that people's lives are going to be changed forever. In portions of western Jamaica and really the entirety of Jamaica. This is going to be impacting the culture for a long time. This is going to be remembered for centuries. Gilbert's the storm that's always remembered. People always tell others about, oh, do you remember, Hurricane Gilbert happened this year. Now it's going to be Hurricane Melissa. It from last year is like, oh, Beryl. Beryl was such a bad hurricane for Jamaica. Now it's going to be Melissa. Let's really hope that next year there isn't something that tries to top this. I mean, 2023 or one of those years, 2021 we had a tropical storm roll through. Then 2024 we had Beryl rolling just south as a Category 4. Thankfully that missed Jamaica directly. But now we got to this storm, a Category 5 making landfall in Jamaica. Let's hope this trend does not continue. Let's hope Jamaica gets a break next year. It's too early to be talking about forecast for next year, but we can only hope though that next year doesn't get as bad of impacts in portions of Jamaica. So I said that when you were discussing the new impacts in the Western Pacific. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, Recon is looping. Let's see. Recon's dancing. Let's look at the latest Recon imagery here, or Recon update. Does not have an update just quite yet. We should get an update within the next, I'd say within the next few minutes as to where they are they positioned. Man, I find it crazy though that this is really the only time that I've been really doing a lot of updates in the Atlantic Basin with these kind of graphics. I've been experimenting them for a while, doing 7-day cones, and I'm so grateful that I've been releasing that out to the public. I mean, this has been devastating there, and I've been trying to release these forecasts for a while now. If you guys want to see the forecast history, I can show that to you all. What I was forecasting. So I did want to mention the fact though that I do issue 3-day cones, and I meant to do a 5-day cone, but I'm glad I didn't because of the uncertainty. This was my first ever cone issued on Melissa. I'm expecting it to be, this was when it was 98L. I was already highlighting the possibility of moderate impacts in portions of the Dominican Republic. This is a 3-day impact graphic. And that did also include eastern Jamaica. They're seeing additional marginal impacts. This was, this was October 20th. This would be 8 days before it made its, 8 days, or sorry, no, this would actually be, I believe 7 days before its impact in Jamaica. So in terms of the 3-day impacts, they were potentially going to see marginal impacts from the system. It's a bit hard to forecast where it's going. And I could show you the cone right after that. So I've been seeing a lot of people be like, oh, this next cone's ugly or whatever. And I've been seeing people clowning on AccuWeather or whatever for their forecasts for the system. But really, this forecast did solidly verify. And the impact colors are only throughout the next 5 days. Were only throughout the 5-day time frame. But the cone is through 7 days. So really it did make a north jog there, then it did move to the southeast, then it made a jog to the southwest there, and then really this came very close to where it actually made landfall. And this would be 7 days from now, and this forecast point nearly perfectly verified. This is where it's supposed to be today, 2 hours ago. This is where I was forecasting it to be then. If we look at it where it's at now and where it was 2 hours ago, right around here. So it's the forecast, it's right over here now. So very close. And Category 2 forecasted there. Right now it's Category 3 or 4. Just being conservative in the forecast. You don't want to overestimate anything. But I was already highlighting portions of eastern Jamaica there, and that's in that moderate category with potentially major impacts for portions of southern Dominican Republic. And then the next day, if I show that graphic here, Then I shifted it more to the west, and you see this is pretty close to where it actually made landfall as a major hurricane. I was already forecasting a major hurricane here 6 days out, so um, 6 days before, and this is what the cone does. It prepares Jamaica more. I was already highlighting portions of eastern Jamaica there, and that's that major possibility, major impacts, and that was mainly for rainfall. Because this graphic only goes out to 5 days, so really it's only this portion right here. And then now going to the next cone right after that. This was the next cone right after that. There, so you can see it's still staying consistent there with it making landfall in portions of Jamaica there as a major Category 4 hurricane, highlighting the entirety of Jamaica for the possibility of major impacts. This would be around 4 days, 4 days before, 4.5 days before it makes its historic landfall there, predicting a Category 4 out of that. And then the next update there, if I show that, next forecast update, it shifted a little bit to the east, and that at that point I was forecasting a Category 5 peak, with it making landfall as a Category 4, because we were hoping it would undergo an eyewall replacement cycle or something to weaken it. This forecast cone did shift more to the east, and I moved it more to the northeast there, showing more of the Bahamas. So shifted a little bit there. Still showing Jamaica there getting a direct blow from it several days out. And then the cone after that's there, impacting around the same area, nothing really shifting too much at all for portions of Jamaica there. So this cone has been pretty set on throughout the past few days. And then I believe, is that the, let's see here. I'm almost at the most recent one. Okay. Forget how many I've done on this. I've done like 9 cones. So this was the one from around 2 days ago. They're still showing the possibility of catastrophic impacts. This is when I was believing it could make landfall as a Category 5. So I was already mentioning the possibility of it making a Category 5 landfall. Portions of western Jamaica there. And then, of course, the most recent one, the one from yesterday there, slamming into Jamaica as a Category 5. So catastrophic impacts, additional impacts there. So here's a look again at the entire forecast cones that I've issued on the system. So it's been just a wild ride watching the system blow up and just being able to forecast it several days out with this much accuracy. Just impressive, though. It's mainly because it wasn't moving a whole lot. That's why it's kind of stayed within this forecast period. So quite impressive. I will be giving my thoughts on X there, just discussing, because I've been seeing people mention, oh, it's bad 7 days on clouding on AccuWeather just because people have been hating on them. Like, really, it's uncertain issuing a forecast 7 days out, but you are still showing the fact that they could see impacts. So I've tried my best to message those impacts to portions of Jamaica there. Subscribe helps out a lot. Just trying to get my information out to more people there, trying to save lives. Sharing it as well online helps out a lot, getting that information out. Yes. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to make a post about that though, because I need a post about the accuracy of that cone. Trying to get that information more out. I've been experimenting with 7-day cones for around 2 years now. I haven't really published it publicly. Only some isolated instances. This is my first year really experimenting it with the public. Here's 7-day forecast, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna be adding on impacts as well. I'm gonna be making graphics discussing what kind of impacts you could be seeing, additional impacts in all these areas. Just to kind of define this a little bit more, because what does marginal mean? What does slight mean? Moderate, major, extreme? What do all those mean? I'll go more in depth onto what those actually mean. See, where's Melissa right now? Oh wait, did I just? Oh yeah, hold on, wait. There was a question here earlier actually. Let's see. I never realized. I had a Tornado Chaser Chase account. Yes. Hold on, let me go back here. Yes, I do have a Tornado Chaser Chase account. I used to do live streams on that account. But not really anymore, because I've seen there's so many other channels that do tornado coverage. I'm fine with hurricane coverage being my shtick. I know much more about tropical cyclones than I do severe weather and tornadoes. My main focus is tropical cyclones, trying to save as many lives as I can internationally with tropical cyclones. There's already enough people to give information out about tropical cyclones, not enough people to give information, tornadoes, not enough people to give information about tropical cyclones, especially internationally. There's so much demand and not enough supply across the globe, so that's why I try and give out this information. I've seen Ryan Hall and Max Velocity make live streams about this system, which that's been interesting. Seeing people who don't know much about tropics discuss it. Um, yeah, I mean mainly just chasers there. Now it's becoming more of an international thing, and I've been doing this for years now, trying to get as much information out as I can across the globe, and I really appreciate all of your guys' support. Oh, guys, I also forgot to mention, if you haven't already, please consider liking the stream. See, does your professor know about your YouTube account? I guess I could send it to him. Um, I try not to advertise it really too much. It's yeah, I'll show him what I would have been up to, that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, he knew that I do hurricane coverage, that kind of stuff, and he was saying, oh Chase, there's something headed towards Jamaica. I'm like, yes, I know, unfortunately. And I was talking to one of my other friends about the. I was talking to one of my other friends about how, maybe it would be crazy if he messaged me about the storm, and then the next day he did. Um, it just again goes to show the human element of the system. Just how many people these storms influence, and the cultural aspects of them. So yeah, Elizabeth mentions 2024 was Beryl, 2025 was Melissa. What would 2026 be? Let's hope it's nothing. Let's hope it just stays question marks. Nothing. Let's see. Where is Melissa right now currently? Melissa, let's talk about the distances from certain parishes in. Oh wow, look at that eye now clearing out a lot more on this imagery here. Really clearing out now. In terms of distances, it's closest to around Ocho Rios. It's around, I'd say, 43 miles away at this point in time. We should also get an update on Recon. We can pull that up. They are still descending, looks like. Still going around in loops and just getting closer. They should be there within an hour, I'd say. I would assume so. Like that, just up, down, sampling the same area. Yeah, I name storms are becoming less of a threat, and H and M name storms are becoming a big threat. Yes, M names especially. Unfortunately, with this storm in Milton of last year. Oh yeah, and why are we still getting heavy winds and rain? Well, I mean, the storm hasn't moved a whole lot away from you. It's fairly close, as we can see on the latest satellite imagery on it. It's fairly close. Oh man, that eye temperature has warmed even further. Now the peak was minus 10 degrees Celsius, so this has continued to warm, unfortunately. So it's just showing it's unfortunately continuing to intensify. If we look at the graph now on it, look at that, it's continuing to go up. It's been leveling out a little bit more, and that's probably going to spike up even further. Man, okay. Just really unfortunate though to see this intensify again before making landfall in Cuba. Yes, guys, thank you so much for all the support on the forecast cones. That's scarily accurate. Has the eye reformed already? Yes, it has. As we can see on this loop right here, the eye has formed again. It dissipated over Jamaica, and then now it's right back, and it's much larger, unfortunately. So those impacts are going to be much larger than what they were in terms of the wide area. The core of destructive winds are going to be happening for a larger portion of Cuba, around Santiago de Cuba. Pretty much the entire province is going to be seeing at least moderate impacts, with major impacts I'd say major impacts throughout the entirety of Santiago de Cuba. Additional major impacts with the system. A lot more rain to go. A lot of rain. A lot of rain has already fallen with the system, and a lot more is possible. You guys have not even gone through half of it yet, unfortunately, in Cuba. Why do you have the HCC extra account? It's something I was doing when I was younger. Just had fun doing that. Okay. When does it start in Cuba? Richard, are you watching from Cuba? Curious how many people are watching from Cuba. Guys, if you're watching, let me know what country you guys are watching from, if you can. Drop a flag of what country you guys are watching from. When does it start in Cuba? Well, impacts are likely already beginning right now with some tropical storm force winds. Some outer bands are impacting Cuba as well. Hurricane force winds are going to be happening overnight, and major hurricane force winds as well overnight. So this is going to be continuing to deteriorate across Cuba. Let's see if we can pull up the Cuban radar so we can get a more in-depth look at it. I am going to have to pull up this here Cuba radar. Man, I forget the website name. Is this it? Please tell me I got it right. Let me just drink something real quick. There we go. I'm looking at the right thing now. Okay, I'll pull this up on stream. Now, apologies as I don't know Spanish. So it's crazy being someone from Miami and I don't know Spanish. But anyways, there's a look at the system. The northwestern eyewall looking like the strongest on this run right here. Let's look more at the radars of the system here, and let's go down to the closest radar in pylon. And you can clearly see that eye there. I really wish that this could be sped up some. But yeah, you can see the northern side is currently the strongest side of the system, and that's continuing to approach Cuba. It's leaving Jamaica now. Jamaica isn't really getting any of the eye wall impacts. They still are getting some of those outer rain bands, but it is starting to approach. It is starting to approach Cuba even closer and closer every frame. So what is all this stuff? I'm curious about what this stuff is. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool graphic they make. And the forecasters. Ooh, okay, that's cool. Yes, again, though, it is getting closer and closer. There's the latest radar frames. Now let's take a look at the countries people are watching from. I'm going to look at the live chat. Oh, wait, shoot. Was I not showing it? Oh, yeah, I was. Okay. Yes, it was. My bad. All right, I just want to make sure. All right. Oh, we do have some people watching from Cuba. Interesting. Guys, if you are watching from Cuba, can you do me a favor and send in the Cuban flag? I just want to see how many Cubans are watching. Send in the Cuban flag in the chat, so then I can just search up the Cuban flag emoji, and then you can send it in the chat. I'm just curious how many Cubans are watching. Let's see here. We got some people watching from, I don't know, is that Nicaragua or Honduras? I don't know where, but that's somewhere in Central America. Jamaicans as well, some of you guys watching. Nice. From Haiti as well, I believe that's the flag there. Please tell me I got that right. Okay, just trying to get the flags there. Do you animate yourself? Yes. They're now headed into the storm. Let's see. Ooh, it's Jibby. I've seen you. I've seen you on my YouTube studio in terms of most subscribers, I think. Let's see. So you said Recon is getting closer to the storm. Yes, now they're finally going towards it. Okay. Yep. All right, now let's answer some more questions here. Let's see. I'm here in Jamaica, and I hope the Cubans are taking this seriously. Yes, you all in Cuba need to be taking this seriously. It is expected to slam into you as a Category 4 strength system. Do you animate yourself? Yes, all the animations that you see on my channel, I'd say around 99% of them are from myself. Over the past 2 years or 3 years, they've all been from me. Could it be worse in Cuba? And in your opinion, were the impacts smaller on Jamaica than it was predicted? Um, in terms of impacts in Jamaica, I still think that that was predicted properly. Portions of Western Jamaica may have been even underestimated. Cuba is still expected to see a Category 4 strength system plow into the country. We will be doing another live stream later tonight discussing the system actually making landfall. So you guys, I want to see you guys watching me then. I'll be doing that live stream for potentially 2 hours or so. And yeah, in terms of is it going to be worse in Cuba? I don't think so. I still think major to catastrophic impacts are going to be possible across wherever it makes landfall. This still will be delivering a major blow. This still is going to be a major hurricane at landfall. So really, it's going to be Category 4 and 5. There's not much difference in this, okay? You still are going to be getting hit by the worst hurricane in recorded history in Santiago de Cuba. Let's see. Let's see here. When will the breeze leave Jamaica? Rain. It should be leaving overnight by tomorrow morning. Should definitely start leaving by then. Whoops, sorry. Let me pull this up again. Should be leaving by then. Okay. I see Cat Gaming, the emojis you sent in. Alright. I'm just going to send this to one of my friends here. Letting them know about it. Oops, okay. Oops, did that not work? Oh, geez, what happened? Hold on, I'm just trying to send this to a friend of mine. There we go. Okay. So let's answer some questions for guys in Cuba. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will gladly answer those kind of impacts. I'll briefly go over them. Guantanamo Bay, it will be impacting Guantanamo Bay with major impacts. Looks like, or no, sorry, moderate impacts are currently being forecasted for you in Guantanamo Bay. 8 to 12 inches of rain are being forecasted for you. So really, major impacts are possible for you with this. It's the core of it's going to be staying away from you, but you could still be seeing quite a beating from the system. I believe, is this Guantanamo? This should be Guantanamo Bay. Oh no, am I not looking at it? Oh no. Oh no, where's Guantanamo? Okay. Sorry guys, I'm learning my geography. Guantanamo. Oh man, okay, sorry guys. Okay, in terms of Guantanamo, there it is. Okay, man, Anyways, in terms of Guantanamo Bay, yeah, those areas are expected to see major impacts from the system, moderate to major impacts, because they could be getting hit by a major hurricane, but mainly the rainfall. This area in particular is expected to see major impacts with 12 to, or do you guys in Cuba, those in Cuba, I only want the Cubans answering this question. Do you guys prefer inches or millimeters? And do you guys prefer miles per hour or kilometers per hour? Only the Cubans. I know Jamaicans, you prefer miles per hour and you all prefer inches, but I'm curious about those in Cuba. What unit of measurement do you all prefer me using when discussing your impacts? If you guys could let me know. Just so that way I can more effectively convey information to you all. Are you on mobile? Or wait, oh sorry, you're asking someone else. Let's see here. Other people from America, nice. Ireland, someone watching from Ireland, nice. Yeah, I don't think it will be a hurricane by the time it reaches Atlantic Canada. It should be a post-tropical cyclone by then. It is expected to weaken. Shear is going to be tearing it apart. It is going to have a chance to re-intensify some, though, when it's in the southwestern Atlantic, due to a jet interaction, pretty much allowing it to get better outflow. Okay, miles per hour. Okay, you guys prefer inches and miles per hour. Okay, thank you guys. Um, just was curious about that there. And yes, this is the real deal for you all there. This will be the worst hurricane you all have ever seen in terms of winds from this. This is expected to be a Category 4 at landfall. Oh, hi, Dark Steve. I've seen you in many of my streams before this started blowing up. Nice to see one of the OGs here. So yes, again, major impacts are expected across Santiago de Cuba. Really, the entire parish is expected to see major impacts, with western Guantanamo and eastern Granma expected to see major impacts as well. Again, this is the strongest storm in recorded history to make landfall in Cuba, if it does make landfall above 115-mile-an-hour winds. And currently it's around winds of 125, forecasted to make landfall with winds of 140-mile-an-hour winds. Now, in terms of landfall timing, this is going to be quite hard to tell when the landfall will be. It might be a little while up until early in the morning, maybe all the way up until around 2 or 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's when I'm going to be planning to do my next stream, most likely, on the system for a little bit. I am probably going to wake up in the middle of the night to do a live stream for that. I'm going to get some sleep, take a nap, and then I'm going to be doing another live stream when it finally makes its blow towards Cuba and starts to make its landfall. So, guys, I will be doing another live stream overnight tonight. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, so that way you can stay tuned for that live stream. Yes, Dark Steve, crazy how it's clearing out its eye. Mario saying St. Elizabeth, St. James, Manchester, St. Thomas, Portland, and Westmoreland really getting a bad. Also St. Anne, yeah. All those areas, though, it's starting to calm down for you all. So impacts are beginning to subside for you there. Again, though, additional slight to moderate impacts are expected for you there. Rainfall amounts of up to an additional 12 inches are going to be possible, mainly across portions of Trelawney, St. Anne, and St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, and, again, western St. Anne. After the landfall, I will be sleeping. Yeah, so, I mean, I am going to be taking a little bit of a break here in around 5 minutes or so, just so that way then I can get some rest, because I do have class tomorrow, and I'm going to be waking up early, probably around 2 a.m. or so, to do my landfall live stream on the system. Because again, this is also going to be history being made for Santiago de Cuba, the entire province there. This is the strongest hurricane to ever roll through there. I do want to mention, guys, if you haven't already, please follow me on one of these other social media platforms, especially on Instagram. That really help out a lot. I'm trying to grow on there. Any follows on there would be very, very appreciative. If you guys have Instagram, though, I'm not going to ask you to get Instagram or anything like that, but if you do, follow me at Hurricane Chaser Chase. If you have X, consider following me at Hurricane_Chase. This is where I post the most. Instagram's more so about cones, forecast cones, and then storm chasing content. On Facebook and Blue Sky, you can follow me at Cyclone Tracking. You can search that up on Facebook or Blue Sky, and you should be able to find me with a red logo there. I may change my profile picture. I don't know what to do about that. Discord, you can join this Discord server at discord.gg/chasesstorm. So we got a question about the impacts in Antilla. In Attila, I don't know where that is. We can search that up, though. In Attila in Cuba, okay. In Attila, that is going to be in eastern Holguin. In that area, you are expected to see moderate impacts with the possibility of major impacts. Currently, forecasted rainfall totals are around 8 to 12 inches in Antilla there in Holguin. You do have the possibility of major impacts, as this could be rolling through as a major hurricane. Current forecast has it as a high-end Category 2 rolling through there. You could be getting a direct hit from the system, unfortunately. Surge will be an interesting thing to forecast because of just the winds funneling potentially into the Bay Area. Alright, guys, well, who am I going to be seeing in the next live stream? Who's going to be watching? Who should I be expecting to see at around, this will be around tomorrow at around 2 a.m.? 1, 2, 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Who am I going to be seeing? Cat Gaming, I'm going to be seeing you. Okay. It's Jason. David as well. Wow, okay. Never mind, yes. Keep in mind, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Who's going to be there? I'm going to be covering that system as it makes landfall there, hopefully to get it out information out to more Cubans. And those in the Bahamas as well. Um, yeah, so you guys got to go to sleep. Those in Jamaica, those in Jamaica, guys, just one more night of sleeping, and then this system should be gone for you. Is there elevation changes that will impact the storm like Jamaica had? And do you think it will cause more wobbling? Ooh, that's a great question there. Great question, Patrick there. Yes, because of those mountainous terrain, they may cause some weird motions with this. So it could make a wobble to the east, actually, by the time it makes landfall. I maybe to the east, maybe to the west. It'd make more sense to make a wobble to the east, trying to avoid the mountainous terrain, but then it will make landfall. So we could see a wobble to the east. We'll see, though, on the landfall coverage, what kind of wobbles it will be doing. Yeah, so who will I be seeing in that next live stream? I hope to see some of you all. Some of you all. As I know that there's some of you have classes then. No, Jamaicans, hopefully you don't have class there. Could it go to the East Coast? I don't think so. East Coast of the United States, I would not say so. With this system, if we take a look at the super ensemble clusters, ooh, whoa, this is new. Here, real-time recon data. Interesting. Well, this is nice as well. Grand ensemble mean versus the National Hurricane Center forecast. Yes, the mean has had to gone more east of where it's supposed to go there. Nice, that's actually very helpful. In terms of the super ensemble guidance, again, though, it is expected to stay away from the East Coast. It may make a landfall, though, in Newfoundland as a post-tropical cyclone. Anyways, that should be about it. Yes, guys. So thank you all so much for watching. I will keep you guys updated over the coming days, especially as it makes landfall in. I will go over this one more time. Again, I'm planning to do a live stream as it makes landfall in Cuba there. And I am expected to do another update by the time either I might do a landfall live stream by the time it's going through the Bahamas, or I could be doing a live stream by the time it's leaving the Bahamas over there. So I am still expected to do another live stream tomorrow night regardless, by the time it's rolling through the Bahamas over there, and I could be doing another live stream by the time it's approaching Bermuda. So it looks like at least 2 live streams, potentially a 3rd live stream. So again, I will be doing another updates tomorrow night as well, discussing the system, and I'll time out more of the live streams for you all on what I'm planning to do there. Let's. Can you do it at 12 o'clock? I don't know what time I'm going to be doing live streams. It all depends on landfall timing. Yes, again, there will be a live stream for Cuba when it makes its landfall. I will be doing a live stream there. Just got to figure out when it's going to be making that landfall. Yeah, so that one guy there says, I am going to be watching. Okay, well, I'll see you there. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, I really appreciate all the support. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't, so that way you can stay up to date to that live stream. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next update, which will again be overnight as it makes its landfall. Or I will be seeing you all tomorrow night during another live stream during when it's going through the Bahamas. So I will see you in the next update. Stay safe.